Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, please join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our annual, or I'm sorry, our weekly meeting. Next week's workshop will be delayed a day because of the Memorial Day holiday. So our workshop will be on Wednesday in this room at 10:30 a.m. And our next regular meeting will be on Thursday, May 30th at 10:30 a.m. in this room also. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Here.
Ms. Frenchco. Here. Mr. Malloy.
Here.
Item number 1 is to dispense with reading the minutes of the regular meeting dated May 15th, 2024, and accept and approve the video recordings of this meeting as the official meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Because they're not done correctly, if you adopt video recordings and you have to have a transcript, which is not available. I found that out with the records request, that they're not being done even according to this way that they've changed it to correctly. No,
It's available on YouTube. You
If
can
it's-
print.
record requested, you have to supply that.
Did. So your vote?
I already said that.
No, you didn't. You just started giving a reason.
You didn't say yes
Because
or
of
no.
that- Because of that, no, and it's done incorrectly. You should do things correctly.
I do
Clark.
things correctly.
No,
Item number 2 is to
Full
approve
record
the
correct.
bills.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
yes,
Item number 3 is to approve additional appropriations.
Motion to approve?
Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
yes,
Item number 4 is to approve transfer of appropriations.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
yes,
Item number 5 is to receive the amended certificate of the County Budget Commission number 6-2024 for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2024, dated May 13th, 2024.
Motion to approve?
Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
yes. I think it's noteworthy also that we didn't receive a copy of it until this morning.
Item number 6 is to concur with the Trumbull County Engineer to grant the right-of-way permits requested by the companies listed, Dominion East Ohio and Mike Coates Construction Company, Inc.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes,
Item number 7 is to concur with the county engineer to grant the special annual supplier fleet permit for fleet vehicles requested by the company listed, Crimpodic Excavating LLC.
Motion to approve?
Second the motion.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
yes. I'd like to make a motion to table this one because none of the commissioners have received a copy of what we're voting on.
Which one are you talking about? Number 9?
Number 8.
You just voted yes on 8. We just voted yes on 8.
Getting ready to read number 8.
Okay, go ahead.
I made a motion to table this because right now, as it stands, the Board of Commissioners have not received a copy of the contract associated with this that we're voting on, and I think it's important that we at least put our eyes on it before we vote yes, and we haven't received it. I spoke to the engineer and he doesn't mind if it's tabled a week.
Not hearing a second, the motion fails to pass.
Rubber stamp.
Item number 8 is to award the lowest responsive and responsible bid as submitted by Lake Erie Construction Company for the TRU 2025 Guardrail Upgrade Project in the amount of $309,735. Base bid plus bid alternate 1 and 2 to be paid directly by a $300,000 grant received through the County Engineers Association of Ohio, with additional costs being paid from the county engineer highway fund, and to enter into a contract with Lake Erie Construction Company for said project.
Motion to approve. Second that.
And for discussion purposes, there's this new system that that the clerk's supposed to be adhering to. She's supposed to be rejecting agenda items if they don't come in with supporting documentation. And this came in without a copy of the contract. This agenda item that you're looking at is what we have. We don't have a copy of the actual what we're voting on. I think it's important as commissioners to at least put your eyes on things. And it's important for the clerk to flag these things, send them back and say, hey, I'll approve this once you upload the associated contractor information, but that's not being done. Then after communicating with Gary Schaefer, the deputy engineer, he said that he did give it to the clerk. However, she just didn't give it to the commissioners. So that's a problem. I think we need to be looking at things before we vote on them.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
I'm going to abstain because I haven't had an opportunity to review information that wasn't given to me at all.
Item number 9 is to concur with the Trumbull County Engineer and receive resolution number 4-2024 passed by the County Council of the City of Hubbard on May 6, 2024 in support of the Hubbard City Number 5 Bridge, SFN 7831501, being renamed World War I and World War II Veterans Memorial Bridge in honor of veterans who have served in World War I and World War II, and to set up a public hearing for the consideration of the bridge name change. The Hubbard City Number 5 Bridge is located on East Park Avenue, immediately east of North Main Street.
Motion to approve. Second the motion.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 10 is to authorize Danny Malloy, President of the Board of Commissioners, to execute the memorandum of understanding between the statewide consortium of county law library resource boards and Trumbull County Commissioners on behalf of the Trumbull County Law Library Resource Board's application for a grant. The Trumbull County Law Library was awarded the grant in the amount of $2,190 for the purchase of 3 HP Elite 600 G9 desktop computers, Intel Core i5.
Motion to approve. Second the motion.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 11 is to approve the detailed drawings for the Smith Stewart Strassmeyer Sanitary Sewer Improvements Project, known as County Project Number 2-S-17 in the Trumbull County Combined Sanitary Sewer District, Metropolitan Subdistrict.
Motion to approve. Second the motion.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 12 is to reappoint Mr. Gary Newbrow, PE Sanitary Engineer, to a 3-year term on the State Capital Improvements Program District 6 Ohio Public Works Integrating Committee, and to reappoint Mr. Scott Werner, PE Assistant Sanitary Engineer, as the alternate for a 3-year term on this integrating committee.
Motion to appoint Gary Newbrow. Second the motion.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 13 is to authorize the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners Clerk to re-advertise for sealed bids for construction of the Scoville Drive Sanitary Sewer Improvements Project, known as County Project Number 5-S-16, in the Trumbull County Combined Sanitary Sewer District, Mosquito Creek Subdistrict, Vienna Township. The original bid opening was held on Thursday, May 9th, 2024, with 2 bids received. Both bids exceeded the engineer's estimate by 20%, and therefore neither can be awarded and must be rebid per ORC.
Motion to approve. Second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 14 is to authorize the Board of Commissioners clerk to advertise for sealed bids to provide pharmaceutical services necessary medications for the inmates of the Trumbull County Adult Justice Center for a 2-year period in accordance with bid specifications. The current contract expires July 31st, 2024.
Motion to approve. Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
This one I don't have information on. I would like to see more. And I would like to make sure that the agreement is covering all of the county costs. And without having that information,
The bid packet was put in your bin yesterday.
no, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
I received a copy in my inbox of something related to the pharmaceuticals, but I didn't receive a copy of anything else. I would have liked to have seen that. But either way, I have to abstain because I wasn't given this information. And I didn't have the ability to verify that our costs are covered.
Wait for what type of cost? What are you talking about? Are you on number 14, Commissioner? Or are you on number 15? As I saw you taking notes on number 15 while the clerk was reading it. We're on number 14.
She said that she gave a copy of the bid package.
Yes, for the pharmaceutical services.
Oh, the pharmaceutical services I did, that's not a bid, that's not a bid package. It was a contract. That was like the,
I gave you the backup for
Right,
it.
we're on
Okay.
14. You were
I'm
right on.
sorry, I apologize. So,
Is that an abstain or is that? yes?
on 14, it's a yes. On 15 is the one where I didn't receive anything and it wasn't the bid package, it was the previous agreement.
Taking 15 on clerk, please.
Item number 15 is to concur with the Trumbull County Sheriff, Paul Monroe, to renew the agreement with the city of Warren, Ohio for the years 2024
When did you
and
get that?
2025
Yesterday.
for housing of persons charged with or convicted of violations of the ordinances of the city of Warren, Ohio in the Trumbull County Jail.
Why didn't they give me a copy of it?
Please let her finish.
Upon the
Then address it.
execution of such agreement, serving the interests of Trumbull County by the Trumbull County Sheriff and the City of Warren, the Board of Commissioners will consider final approval of this agreement. The City of Warren shall provide space in the Trumbull County multi-jurisdictional minimum security misdemeanor and full-service jail at a rate of $37,500 per month. The agreement commences on January 1st, 2024 and ends
Pharmaceutical.
December 31st,
Okay, no, this is the one
2025.
that I didn't get.
Oh, okay.
Do you have this one?
I thought we
We don't have it.
had
It's
a
not-
copy of that, didn't we?
No.
Madam Clerk?
I
Yes.
was
Yes.
watched the meeting
Can I
and
see?
I,
Is it not in there? I think
maybe
was
it's in the
there.
back, but I didn't get that.
No, this is, I
That's
thought they
what
were
I-
both together. Hold
I
on
got
one second.
that
It might
one,
be
but
back
we-
there.
We
Hold
didn't
on.
get that.
It's renewing the same terms of the last.
Right, no, I.
Right, but it's still, it doesn't matter. It's still important to look. That's how we got the sheriff to actually start covering the costs for the contracts with the schools and such is because I was questioning them and trying to make sure that the costs were covered. And then he was putting them into the agreements to show and to prove that those costs were covered. And I just want to look at this because I don't have it at all. I don't think we got, I promise.
I
was
have
on
it.
the- I
I
was
have
on
it,
the
but it's not in this
conference.
packet. It's
No,
not in this
I was
packet.
on the.
He gave it
conference
to us
call.
after it. Major Mason gave it to us after. Yeah,
Well, someone put, this is what, this was in my box, but there was something else. If there's something else, I.
There was something else, yes.
Okay.
It's just not in there.
See, did it actually show an accounting to show that the costs are covered? That for the services provided?
There's a
from the
formula,
county?
yeah.
I heard him say that because I was on the meeting, but at the same time, does the formula cover the cost? When's the last time it was, we don't know that.
Yeah,
And what is it? He just mentioned something and didn't give it to the board.
yeah, I'm comfortable voting on it. I think it's a
Okay.
carryover of the same contract. The only thing changed on the contract from when we voted on it last time was the dates. So
But was that the thing is that formula outdated? Is it still covering the costs with increases and such? Do you know what I'm saying?
I understand
Yeah.
what you're saying, but I think that's up to the sheriff to have that formula. If he wanted to share it with us, he could, but I mean, I think that this is a reasonable contract here. We're not out to,
didn't-
we're not out to gouge other communities. We're out
But
to provide service, not make money.
but if we don't cover our costs and we're subsidizing other political subdivisions, and I just want to make sure we're not doing that.
I think
Okay.
that the cost of the jail is what it is, and it's stayed pretty constant as far
The
as,
cost to run it is increasing, so that's why I wonder if we need to revisit the calculations. You know what I mean?
sure,
Okay.
sure. Vote no. Make a motion to approve?
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Because I didn't get a chance to see it, no. It actually, and let me for the record say that these items are not to go on the agenda unless they are supposed to be rejected by our clerk. And they're not supposed to be approved unless all the information is associated with it. And it was not. So she is approving items to come onto our agenda that we have not been furnished information about. So,
That's not true.
okay.
Item number 16 is to
My
notify the
emails are
Ohio
open.
Department of
My
Liquor
email-
Control
my
that a
email-
public hearing is
Whoa,
not
whoa,
required.
whoa.
Floor,
No,
Commissioner. You
she
do not have the
said-
floor right now.
She
On the
said,
liquor
she said
permit.
something's not true. My emails are public records. I will bring out my computer. There is absolutely nothing. I mean, Commissioner Cantala Mesa said that he didn't even receive a copy of it until yesterday from Major Mason. So, and I know that it wasn't in my email. So for her to say that that's not true with the history and the pattern.
No, she's saying what's
Saying
not
that that's
true
not
is the way
correct.
they submit the
So,
agenda items. That's not
The
for the clerk.
same
Okay.
agreement.
It's the exact same agreement.
It's supposed to.
The only
be
thing that
uploaded.
changed were the dates.
And the engineers one came on the agenda as well. We were supposed to be looking at those things. The point is, they should not come on the agenda unless we are unless they have those things with them. You don't just give the Board of Commissioners an agenda to rubber stamp. The role of the clerk and what the agenda procedure is now is that they are supposed to submit the supporting information. We are to see more than what the general public sees. We are to see what we're voting on. And
So
you,
it's the role of the
it
clerk
is
to
the clerk.
screen every item that comes on here to make sure it's bow tied, ready for us to vote on.
But-
I
Yeah,
don't think
because
that's the role of the clerk. I think it's the role of the
It's
commissioner.
supposed to be rejected unless all the supporting information's in
How
it.
would she
Here's
know
the
what it
thing.
is? She's
Here-
the clerk.
Wait,
She's.
She doesn't go read the contract. She doesn't go to the meetings. She doesn't meet with the
Okay,
sheriff.
Danny,
How
let's
would
slow
she
down.
know what that is?
Slow down, let me try to focus. If it says that the commissioners are voting on a contract and the contract is not attached, then she should reject it and say, we need the contract they're voting on included in order to add this. It is that basic. I hope you followed that. Thank you.
Commissioner, I hope you can follow that this contract is the exact same contract with different dates, and it's already been looked at by the prosecutor's office. There's nothing for us to look at. You want to inspect the dates?
We are administrators. We need to look and make sure that, like I said before. the
Our
costs are-
prosecutor has looked at it.
That doesn't, the prosecutor looks at it for form.
Correct.
They don't look at it to make sure it's administratively
And I'm
appropriate.
telling you, the only thing changed is the dates.
Right, which means that maybe we need to be adjusting for the numbers to make sure that our costs are covered. And that's what happened before.
That's a separate argument.
Okay,
That's
and
a
that's
separate
no, but that's how it's addressed by looking at those things. Our eyes need to be on them. And that's the same thing with agenda number 7 to.
Your eyes need to be on them, but you can't be
To-
on them the day of the meeting. You need to have these conversations prior to today. If you want
Right.
to change the formula.
Number
Should have
7
contacted
comes over
the
from the
sheriff
elected
and had
officer,
that
the
meeting.
county engineer.
That-
This one comes over from the elected sheriff.
Right.
They are elected by the
Do-
people to do their job. And when they do these things, they're sending them to us to ratify what they did, not to double check all their work, not to do their work for them.
Actually.
That's why they're elected to get paid in their
No,
positions.
Actually, I don't, what is the primary statutory duty of a commissioner, Denny?
The
No, hang
contract
on,
has been
hang
looked
on,
at
I'm
by
talking-
the
I'm
prosecutor's
talking to the
office.
President of the board, Denny, what is the
I
primary?
can sit here and argue with you
No,
about
it's
stupid.
Do
things.
you
I'm not
know-
Playing this game,
You
Commissioner.
do not know what your job is.
Folks, the
So-
dates changed.
So-
That's
I
it.
know my job.
Look in the Ohio Revised Code. The Ohio Revised Code, you should look it up, Denny, because the role of the commissioners, the primary role is to contract on behalf of the county. So we need to be reviewing those things. That is our primary job. Okay?
We've reviewed it every year that it's come up.
Okay.
You've reviewed it before and had no problems with it. Now you have a problem with it. And all we're doing is
That's-
changing the date.
That's not how I.
And the prosecutor's office looked at
No.
it and approved it to form. So stop.
I'm sorry, what was that? You'd rather me to,
The
Are you saying-
prosecutor's office
let me
approved
get
it to form.
are you rather, you're saying that you are comfortable voting on things that you haven't seen and,
If
and
the
you,
prosecutor's office has seen it, yes.
even the prosecutor's office hasn't seen number 7 and you voted yes on it, or I'm sorry, number 8. We didn't even get a copy of that either.
That is not our funding, first of all.
So we.
Has nothing to do with the authority of the commissioners.
the
And you're
commission-
holding up a grant.
No, he
Yes,
actually,
you are.
Yes, it's a grant.
no, it's not holding it up, though.
Stop,
He said
just
he had no
stop.
problem. He had no problem with us reviewing. I believe we should be doing our jobs more thoroughly. You don't
Then
have
do
to.
it. Then ask for the
I
contract.
can't do that.
Don't
when
come
the-
here unprepared without the.
No, the staff is blocking my ability to review.
Is staff is blocking your phone calls to the sheriff's office to get the contract?
They're supposed to be uploaded with the agenda item. Lisa,
Item number 16 is a routine liquor permit application. Columbiana Foods, Inc., doing business as Giant Eagle, 6384 in Liberty Township.
Motion to approve.
Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
abstain. I wasn't able to locate this one. I searched approved, I searched liquor, I searched
Okay.
all
It
these.
came in
It's-
at the last
It
minute.
came at the last minute, so we didn't have this. you-
It was checked by, Major Palmer.
You didn't give it to us.
What's there to give? It's a permit.
Oh
It
my
was
God,
checked by Major Palmer.
we
I put it on the agenda. They're time sensitive.
put it on the agenda with at the last minute without
Oh,
giving it to the
geez.
commissioners.
Then
You
vote
should be
no.
fired.
Then vote.
You should really be fired. This
Commissioner,
is
you need to,
terrible.
you need to
Just vote
concentrate
no,
on doing your
Commissioner. That's
job.
okay.
And let's focus on the agenda here today.
Is to approve things that we're not being given because of the
This is a
absent
liquor
mindedness
permit.
and the lack of work ethic of our clerk and other.
You are looking
The
for
Ohio
ways
Department of Commerce
to
State
try
Liquor
to
Control
discipline
Board,
our
I'm sure,
clerk
Is
for no
on it
reason.
with their permit, if they're given the permit and the sheriff or the sheriff's
We're
deputy.
supposed to be given what we vote on. Folks, just so you know, there is absolutely nothing in our emails or in our agenda to approve this item. There's nothing. Not even the language was here. Yet, when
On the approval of Major Palmer, this is
Yeah.
exactly what former
Stop-
clerk
don't
would have done.
interrupt.
I'm
She
interrupting.
has the floor right now.
I'm
Your,
interrupting.
your role as a clerk is to be quiet and call the roll
Not when
and to
you
do
are-
your job.
Be screamed at?
Work ethic.
It is terrible. This is how many things so far that we have in front of us that we haven't even looked at. As commissioners, we have not laid eyes on 2 contracts so far.
Did you call Liquor Control Board to ask if they applied for the permit? Did you call and ask if Giant Eagle applied?
This is a
You
routine
can call the
liquor
800
permit.
number for Department of Commerce and talk to the liquor control agent and they will tell you the status of the application.
Commissioner, and we have a clerk that normally should be giving us information, but she's not. You just said that you didn't give it to us.
let's move on.
But when I
Let's move
ask
forward.
for something to be on the agenda, she won't put it on.
Item 17 is to adopt a resolution of the
Lazy.
Board of Commissioners
Lazy
of
and
Trumbull County, Ohio, entering upon its journal the filing of an amended petition for annexation, seeking to annex land situated in Howland Township to the city of Warren, Ohio, parcel 3, and known as being lot numbers 25, 26, 65, and 66 in the Crystal Springs Park allotment, which plat is recorded in volume 12, page 64 and 65 of the plat records of Trumbull County, Ohio, and referenced as PPNS 284868747576 and 77, and to refer the legal description of the perimeter and the map or plat of the territory proposed to be annexed to the Trumbull County engineer for review.
Motion to,
I'd like to make a motion to table this because normally, again, she's not following the procedure. These items, and I wish you could all see the emails, they're supposed to have the prosecutor's approval with them, a prosecutor's opinion. I mean, Gary Newbrow's even putting them on there. And for how many years he didn't, every single thing that he comes over, it says, has a prosecutor's opinion, doesn't require one, whatever. This came on without having anything from the prosecutor's office.
This
Period.
came in on Monday and I have been speaking with
So
the
if-
prosecutor's office.
Where is the approval for us to see?
What, you have to have it in writing? Do you want to ask him right now if he's
Actu-
listening, if I talk to him?
If it came in on Monday, then you put it in, then it goes on the next week's agenda. So you have an opportunity to make sure that everything we need to see is there, which would include the prosecutor's opinion according to the policy and procedures.
being that the prosecutor also represents Howland Township on this, I would think the prosecutor would leave a lot of this to our discretion on this or to advise for outside counsel, being that they represent both of us.
No, they can approve something as to form without, and to process and to make sure that without actually doing anything to advocate for either side. There's no conflict in that.
So there was a petition filed for this.
I'm just saying, obviously, you guys.
Okay, I'm just
are
saying you
giving
just cut me
patterns, you
off,
just-
but that's okay.
I mean, if you want to discuss it any further, go ahead, but I'm just saying that.
Well, I
these-
can't. You interrupted me.
These aren't to go on the agenda until there's until there's an approval, or it's supposed to say no prosecutor's opinion is required. So every single thing that comes on our agenda is supposed to have that. We have a
Who
system,
says it's supposed to?
our policies and procedures, the instructions for the new process.
Bill Danzo has come up here many times during meetings and said that some of these things are routine and they do not require prosecutors' opinions.
Oh, did he say that for this?
This is
Prosecutors did the
already, let
workshop
me explain this
yesterday.
to you. This is
you
already
don't-
filed as an
no, you don't-
annexation. This is an amendment.
I
So it
understand.
has to go through the process
I
once again.
understand perfectly,
Yeah.
but we don't
That's
have
right.
anything.
It's going
associated
to
with it.
Bill Danzo.
Okay, well, it should have came to us to make sure that this was done correctly.
Done
and
It
like,
was brought to us.
It
And
was not
it was
taken,
consulting Bill Danzo.
and we are the commissioners, not Lisa Blair.
Oh, my God.
So we should be looking at these things before we vote on them. And again, we don't have
You
that.
just said now we need to do the job. A minute ago, the last agenda, Lisa was supposed to do the job.
We need to be reviewing.
We are the
things.
commissioners, you just said, not Lisa Blair. You just said it.
Right. She's supposed to be obtaining the things for us to review and vote on. That's what the job is. That's what the policy and procedure says according to the new system, but people do what they want here. And that's one of the problems overall, like with 911 even, we lose people because there's no structure. Some people get away with whatever and do whatever they want to do. And some people they're punitive too. And that just.
Commissioner, now you're slamming on a different department, throwing jabs in of things, and I didn't want to do this, but I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make a motion from the floor. And this motion is Trumbull County Board of Commissioners resolution to censure Commissioner Nikki Frenchco. A motion to adopt a resolution of the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners to censure Commissioner Nikki Frenchco. Whereas all individual members of the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners took an oath to faithfully perform the duties of office as required by the Ohio Revised Code 305.04. Whereas all individual members of the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners should conduct their service as a commissioner in an ethical manner with traditional principles such as honesty, trust, fairness, and integrity, and should always remain committed to serving the general welfare of the residents of Trumbull County. Whereas all individual members of the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners should treat residents, visitors, and employees of Trumbull County in a professional manner. Whereas it is vitally important that Trumbull County residents and employees have complete confidence in the ability of the Trumbull County Commissioners to hold themselves accountable when the conduct of an individual member of the acts in an unprofessional manner. Whereas Commissioner Frenchco has acted in an unprofessional manner in her actions toward members of the Trumbull County community and toward Trumbull County employees. Whereas Commissioner Frenchco frequently disrupts public meetings held by the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners. Whereas Commissioner Frenchco routinely uses belligerent, aggressive, profane, disrespectful, and unprofessional language when speaking at public meetings held by the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners and toward Trumbull County employees. Whereas Commissioner Frenchco has previously and continues to engage in conduct unbecoming a Trumbull County Commissioner. Whereas the majority of the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners believe that Commissioner Frenchco's actions are contrary to the interest of the board, the county, and the county's residents.
Did you get a copy?
Now therefore be
listening
it
to it.
resolved
Oh, yeah.
that the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners formally expresses its disapproval of such conduct by Commissioner Nikki Frenchco through this resolution of censure, and respectfully requests that Commissioner Nikki Frenchco cease and desist from any further conduct of a similar nature, so the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners, Trumbull County employees, and Trumbull County residents may work together in an environment of mutual respect and trust for the welfare of Trumbull County and its residents.
Okay, who wrote that?
That's my motion.
And who wrote?
Make it, I will second that motion.
This was written by a team of lawyers and researchers statewide. And it was run by many offices, including on the state level and the
A
County
team-
Commissioners
It
Association.
was written by. a
We are
team
not
of lawyers.
censoring you. You have your right to free
Okay.
speech. You can say what you want. We are censuring you, which means we don't agree with the bullshit you say up here. We don't agree with the way you treat employees. We don't want you to lead us into any more lawsuits because of your actions, and we're asking you to stop. The circus ends today. This is an official resolution that I made saying that Mauro and I are not along in this ride with you anymore.
Screaming. Stop.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay,
Mr.
and
Cantala
I'm making
Mesa.
yes.
a discussion, and I'm making a public records request verbally of all communication associated with this.
This is only between me and my attorney, our council attorney.
You
Mauro did not see
you
this
said there
until
was-
right now.
you
I have
said there
never
was-
seen
Did not
this.
see this right now.
You just got done saying there's a
That's
team
right.
of attorneys.
Our attorney that we hired,
A
that
team of
Brody
attorneys.
Conover wrote this with his team of attorneys that was hired to represent Mauro and myself
Brody
against you.
Conover wrote this.
He did, 100%, and he
Okay,
emailed it to me
Then
yesterday.
I'm doing a public records
fine.
request of all the communication associated.
She is my attorney. He is an attorney for Mauro and myself against you in legal proceedings.
He's
This
also
is to protect us
Once
from
it's
you
become
doing any
public.
more damage to the board. So we hired him for.
Or, that's not what he was actually hired for.
He's hired as our legal representative.
He's not hired for this. And what?
This protects the board. He is
Okay.
hired to make sure we don't make mistakes.
So I am actually.
You'll get all the
Hang on,
things with
hang
it.
on. I'm-
And you lied about him last week too. You get set up here and said you talked to him and he did this and he was doing this.
hang on.
You had one email that you sent to him and sent him something. He said, thank you. I'll look into it. That's all. That's the communication.
I will do a records request
Go ahead.
to all of the journal actions hiring him and to all of his billing, because this actually, I don't believe that this was you're nasty.
See, here you go again.
He's mean
Just
spirited.
stop, Commissioner French. That's all we're asking. We're begging you.
You're not allowed to approach the dais
We-
like that in
we've
a
had-
normal,
She's the auditor.
it doesn't
We've
matter, in
had
a normal meeting.
depositions in
she's
previous
doing
lawsuits
that.
against the county where they said the county commissioners board didn't do enough. This censure review should have been done years ago.
Station.
This censure review should have been done the first time you picked on an employee, the first time you called an employee a name, the first time you belittled an employee and acted unprofessional. This is way too long. It happened now. We have a censure.
You have insulted
We're
the
ready for a
public.
vote on this.
Are you calling a member of the public a prostitute?
What?
before. Like, seriously, you do things that cause so much liability.
Commissioner, you're gonna
You're gonna
compare my actions. This is in respect, Ms. Jackson.
Meeting, at
I
a
have to
public
point
meeting.
you out back here. Last year, you lit a fire under my butt and this circus has to stop. We gotta be more professional. And this is something that I am doing because of your actions last week and because her continued actions last week. And then today, she's already called an employee lazy, inept, not following directions. They do what they want. There's no structure. She's going right down the line on every
Right.
agenda item. We're not gonna do that anymore in these meetings.
Yes. Yeah, you should not little miss, expert on public meetings and Robert's rules. You shouting back there and talking out of line is not acceptable.
So you're going after the public
Okay.
again,
No,
right in front of the
seriously.
cameras. Pose nice for the
That's
camera.
fine. You can't. do
This
that.
is what you do. We all see your actions. In your head, you might not think that this going on,
We're
but
not-
in the world, we are seeing it. We see it every week.
We are not to be, you as the president of the board should be controlling the meeting.
I am
not-
controlling the meeting and this is the
allowing
first
people-
step.
Not
This is
allowing
the
people to
first step of
speak up.
controlling the meeting,
Okay.
is stopping the abuse to the
Okay,
public.
so I'm looking the file,
Working with the taxpayers, working for the taxpayers.
file the application for comment, please, for,
Take time to review that.
Okay,
Do
no,
bring it up at a
this-
different
this-
time.
Commissioner,
No.
it's to represent two commissioners. First of all, that's what the agenda item says, two
Right.
commissioners. When there's a conflict with the prosecutor's office. Prosecutor's office cannot rule on this because you're a commissioner as well.
no, this it relates to, it relates to the matters involving the Open Government Act. I filed a lawsuit for you guys destroying public records and not doing minutes for so long. Since I filed that lawsuit, it says that you retained him for the open government.
Well, we had him retained before that for Mauro and myself. That's the
No.
second retention of his firm
No, this is
for the
the
open
first,
government. No, it
this is
isn't.
the
That's
first-
the date on it.
March 29 to 2023.
Okay.
Yeah,
We continue to read on.
yeah, that's the only one that's there.
We just hired him again last month.
You hired him last month in order to respond to an ADA request. So you have,
Correct.
he's practicing law outside of what he's hired to do. This scope doesn't say anything except for,
That doesn't matter. It's a commissioner's discretion.
then you need to hire him for you, then he should have been retained.
I don't care
for
if
this
Ray Smith
purpose.
wrote it. I presented it.
Hey, Brody.
I made the
why are
motion.
you-
The
why are you-
motion doesn't
I
matter who
hope-
wrote it.
I hope we don't get a bill for this from Brody because it's not, there is nothing in the journal related to his hiring that relates to him drafting a motion for you, Denny. There's absolutely nothing.
There have been times where the prosecutor's office has fielded questions from Lisa, myself, or Denny, and they said they couldn't answer those questions. Ask Brody.
And the public's had enough. The public's had enough. They've reached out to us many times.
Okay.
They've had enough. Ms. Jackson expressed her displeasure. We've heard from everybody in this room has expressed their displeasure at one time or another. This is us censoring,
Let's do
saying,
this
you
again.
do what you want, you say what you want, you have all the time in the world to have your free speech, but we don't agree with a lot of what's coming out of your mouth, and we want off of this ride. We want the circus to end today.
Okay, so the vote was interrupted.
It
as I
says,
was
hang-
taking
it says that you are, hang on, we're still talking about this. There's still discussion. Don't interrupt. The legal counsel for the commissioners and their official capacities as it relates to a certain lawsuit. This actual, what you just presented does not relate to the lawsuit. that you
Commissioner,
mentioned.
you've already added on to the initial lawsuit, and you've been threatening to add more things to the lawsuit. This is to protect the board
Look,
from yourself.
this attorney that you
This is to
referenced.
protect the county taxpayers from you suing even further and
Okay.
further and further.
Let me, again, I don't know if you don't understand.
We
it.
know you're not gonna be here in January. You're not gonna bankrupt this
Right.
county before you go. You're not gonna destroy this county in your actions.
Right.
You've already challenged, we're up to 15 items, 16 items on the agenda. You've already challenged about 9 of them already here with negative comments in some way, shape or form. That's not working together with the community to move forward.
Okay. Well, as I was saying, that relates to this agenda item or I'm sorry, this paperwork that you gave me. It says that you hired, in fact, Brody Conover was hired in order to represent the majority of the boards and Paula Klotz in Nikki Frenchco v. Trumbull County Board of Commissioners. And case number 2023 CV 010412. So he is hired and
Anything to do,
he is hired in that capacity that relates to the litigation. He was also hired in order to respond recently to an ADA request. Those are the only two journal actions hiring him. And he has clearly done something outside of the scope.
and then sue him.
for which-
Then sue him.
So
Sue us
so
again. I
that's
don't know.
why
You're the attorney.
So
Go
that's
ahead.
why I'm asking again for a public records.
Then ask.
So
Go
you're
ahead.
saying that
It's
he
attorney-client privilege.
Yes, he emailed it to me yesterday. Yes, he did. After he heard what you said in the meeting, that you had a conversation with him and you were working with him, and we talked, he said that was a lie. I never spoke to her on the phone, not one time. She sent me an email.
That's
I
not
made the
true.
reply and he sent me copies of your
I have spoken to him
transcripts.
on the phone.
Oh,
Yeah,
said
I mean, okay.
Your statements in here that you were working with him, you talked to him, you called him,
Tony,
he was looking into
no
this and
one
that for
believes
you, it was
anything
a
you
lie.
say. No one believes you.
Okay, well, sue us.
I'm just, okay. I already did and we're winning.
I don't think that's a win. I don't think that at all. We offered you $1 to go away.
What?
We did in the last meeting that we had. You wanted some.
You offered $1 to go away?
Yeah,
When?
the last time we had, Tomorrow and I were in a meeting with you and your attorney.
I mean, mediation?
And yes, in Brody.
So you offered $1 in mediation to make us go away.
And your attorney said, no,
Do you know that mediation is confidential?
we offered $1.
There's a lot of things that are confidential, Commissioner, that you've talked about, executive session, legal cases.
My
You've
God.
avoided gag orders. You've done everything in your power to not keep things confidential. So please don't preach about confidentiality.
Okay, so if Brody's watching this, you might want to counsel your clients because they're discussing mediation. This guy is so dumb. So anyway, he didn't have the authority or on behalf of the board.
Let's call the roll,
to
please.
Do this.
Okay, so
I'm e-
for the item that Mr. Malloy,
Uh,
the motion that he made from the floor, the vote got interrupted. So Mr. Cantala Mesa.
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes,
Ms. Frenchco.
No,
And then item 17, I read already, that was to adopt a resolution for the amended petition for annexation. I need a motion for that.
Motion to approve.
second that motion.
Mr.
This
Cantala
is-
Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes,
Ms. Frenchco.
because we didn't have any information about this. It came in late. There wasn't anything from the prosecutor's office like our policies and procedures say that they're supposed to be. I have to abstain.
Item
Or
18
otherwise
is
I
to
just be
adopt a
rubber stamping.
resolution authorizing expenditure for responding to or mitigating the public health emergency from American Rescue Plan Act funds, ARPA. This is for the Hubbard Historical Society. And on the next page, near the top, a one-time grant to the association in the amount of $4,000 to be used to replace the lost funding experienced by the society as a result of the pandemic.
A motion to approve.
second the motion.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes,
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Number 19 is to enter into an agreement between the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners and the Hubbard Historical Society as approved by ARPA Legal Counsel to provide funds for revenue replacement as fully described in Exhibit A. And the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners allocates the sum of $4,000 to the Hubbard Historical Society.
Motion to approve.
second the motion.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes,
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item 20 is to adopt a resolution authorizing expenditure for responding to or mitigating the public health emergency from American Rescue Plan Act funds, ARPA. This is for Downtown Leavittsburg Heritage Association. And on the next page, Commissioners, a one-time grant to the association in the amount of $63,700 for the following projects: HVAC system update, no-touch lighting system update, train station deck, patio, and pergola, pollinator perennial garden.
Motion to approve.
second the motion.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes,
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item 21 is to enter into an agreement between the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners and Downtown Leavittsburg Heritage Association as approved by ARPA Legal Counsel to provide funds for HVAC system update, no-touch lighting system update, train station deck patio and pergola, and pollinator perennial garden as fully described in Exhibit A, and the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners allocates the sum of $63,700 to Downtown Leavittsburg Heritage Association.
Motion to approve. Second motion.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item 22 is to adopt a resolution authorizing the expenditure for responding to or mitigating the public health emergency from American Rescue Plan Act funds, ARPA. This is for the Marks Tower project. And on the next page, center, contracting with the Ohio Department of Administrative Services to cover a portion of the cost for the erection of a Marks Tower, which will provide the necessary coverage to ensure that all Trumbull County safety service providers have adequate Marks radio coverage, which will include the following costs: Motorola Solutions, Inc. and Thermobond Buildings, LLC.
Motion to approve. Discussion. And I'll second the motion, but with discussion on this, I just want to caution, this is a good program, a good thing to seal up holes in coverage and gaps in communication. We just have to be mindful as a board, as we do this, these departments will convert over the Marks, the ones that are on UHF, VHF. And they're going to have some needs down the road to make sure that some of these small townships have the proper equipment they need to be able to communicate. And there will also be upgrade fees down the road, licensing, things like that we just have to be mindful by us doing this. It is adding some costs on some of the small police and fire departments. So when they have needs down the road, we just need to be mindful to watch out for that and see what we can do and work with them to make sure that we're not putting undue stress on these township budgets by doing this. Agreed.
Maybe you should have not voted to increase their 911 costs so high as you did then. That's why I voted no, because I was concerned.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
I did want to make an additional comment. None of the information that relates to agenda item 22, 23, and 24 was presented to the Board of Commissioners. So I think it's embarrassing that the board just, first of all,
We didn't receive it, Commissioner. We've had
This has been going on for 2
talks, and
years.
the guys from Marks came and gave a presentation at a public meeting.
You didn't
on
come
Wednesday
to
of
it.
this,
You
of
didn't
these
come to it.
costs.
no, you didn't give it to us. You didn't make sure that we had it, Lisa. The clerk didn't ensure that the board had it, neither did the auditor's office yesterday. Just completely refused to give it to us. To me, anyway.
It's in our email.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it is. You want me to pull it up?
Morning, right? This morning?
I emailed it this morning because we said VOC.
It wasn't, actually-
I already apologized.
the BOC agenda comes to the commissioners as well, so we would have seen it. And I didn't, it didn't even come to BOC agenda.
It did. Absolutely.
I feel
If
like
you'll
we have
open,
other-
if you'll open the email that I sent you with the attached emails,
Yeah.
you will see it went to BOC agenda. You have it, vote or don't vote.
BOC agendas, did someone change it so that we don't get those anymore? That's a question for IT. Because we were getting BOC agenda and I actually have that on my emails. It says BOC agenda. I look both under the approved to see them and then that come in through the system.
Commissioner,
And then there's
those-
the BOC agenda that we were getting as well.
That's an organizational email box. It's a single email box. All the commissioners are then copied on those emails.
Right, that didn't come from there
Correct.
either.
Correct. What's trying to be explained to you is that Mr. Masaki sent those to BOC agenda. He did not copy the commissioner on there. It was a mistake that was made.
BOC agenda though,
BOC agenda is not a distribution list, okay?
Getting
Now,
that-
if we need to go through the minutia of explaining an organizational mailbox compared to a distribution list, I can have a whole PowerPoint done on this. But I don't think it's gonna be worth the time and effort. We can do this at a separate meeting if you'd like.
The point of this is we've been just,
They were, at one. point-
VOC agenda was never going, it goes to one single person. It goes to Lisa. That's
Oh,
it.
so Lisa didn't give it to us. Okay, that
No,
makes sense. That
Lisa,
makes sense. If she
per,
sent it,
per SOP, it's supposed to go to all three commissioners. A mistake was made. Once again, a mistake was made.
but it was
That
sent.
mistake was
It was
corrected.
resent.
Correct.
Yeah.
It was resent.
so this is how many times on one agenda where we didn't receive the information and the.
You did receive
the
it.
field
You
doc.
did receive
Now,
it.
before it gets placed on the agenda, the way it is before something gets approved for the agenda, all the supporting documentation is supposed to be sent to the commissioners as well. And
As we said,
it
a
wasn't there.
mistake was made. Mr. Masaki does not normally submit anymore. I should have caught it. I did not. I apologize. I sent it this morning. Also, it was reviewed yesterday. It's been reviewed over and over how this works.
Right, I'm not
You-
blaming you, I'm saying that our clerk should have been the one to catch
You-
that. We have staff, it's not you. I appreciate
It was
what you
also,
do.
excuse me, it was
Okay.
also sent a little bit late because we had to get everything finalized. Again, everything ARPA is time sensitive. Often we do it on Mondays.
As is a project like this, when we talk about public safety, we've been talking about this for a year
I
and a
know,
half.
I worked toward making
You
sure.
weren't
that it
even at the
happened.
meetings when
Yes, I
Dick Miller was here.
Okay. All right.
Stop
That's not
lying.
Ms. Frenchco, I need your vote for.
What did
item
you say?
22.
I said, stop lying. We had a meeting with Dick Miller, myself, Frank Fuda, Mr. Masaki.
Did you delete
and
your
weren't there.
emails?
What?
Did you delete your text messages?
From Dick Miller?
No, from,
What are you
from-
talking about?
You-
Just stick to
no,
the.
I
Are
mean,
you feeling
Here we go.
okay?
This is why we censured you,
Are you feeling
Commissioner.
okay?
Censure.
Honestly, are you feeling okay?
I'm feeling fine, but the concern
don't
is
seem fine.
that you deflect and gaslight, what you actually lied in depositions, and then you're gonna say out here when you can't rewrite history. I was here at all of the meetings that related to
Weren't
this.
you the one that said we have to stick to the agenda?
So for item 22, Ms. Frenchco.
Yes, but it would have been nice if the clerk would do her job and make sure that we receive these things in a timely fashion. This is about 7 items. I hope someone's taking note of it.
Taking note of what?
Okay, I'll take note of them.
Item 23 is to accept and award the proposal submitted by Motorola Solutions, Inc. for the Brookfield 911 Marks Tower project hardware, software, and services in the amount of $500,296. And to further authorize Danny Malloy, President of the Board of Commissioners, to execute any and all documents required for this agreement on behalf of Trumbull County.
Motion to approve?
Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes,
Item number.
and
20
again, we got
item
those
number
just today,
24.
and we just got that today, just so everyone knows.
Item number 24 is to accept and award the
Can we
lowest
see how
bid
it
submitted by Thermo Bond Buildings LLC for the Brookfield Marks Tower Shelter Project in the amount of $193,950. And to further authorize Denny Malloy, President of the Board of Commissioners, to execute any and all documents required for this agreement on behalf of Trumbull County.
Motion to approve?
Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes, and that's another one that we got today, thankful for an elected official that sent, I mean, I'm just saying, that's 8 items that we didn't get an opportunity to review today. That were just rubber stamped.
So you rubber stamped it?
No, I got it.
Oh.
Probably didn't check.
You just said you rubber stamped it.
You did.
Actually, you voted yes.
Right, because I just got it today.
So did I.
You didn't look at it. Okay.
Good one.
Item 25 is to adopt a resolution to declare an emergency under ORC 315.13 for road slippage on Benedict Levittsburg Road in Braceville Township. The situation presents a real and immediate threat to public safety. The road slippage has rapidly deteriorated, leading to progressive encroachment into the Mahoning River, thereby exacerbating the risks to both the infrastructure and the environment. This request follows the Braceville Township Board of Trustees' own emergency declaration on May 21st, 2024. A resolution based on an urgent communication from Braceville Township Road Superintendent.
I'll move, so move for the purposes of discussion.
I'll second that.
So, so we received communication from the Braceville Township trustees about this. I think it was today.
This morning.
This morning, yeah. And I immediately called Chief Hickey, who is our EMA director, who unfortunately is out today because of a death in the family, but he took my call. He advised that he would look into this before the board acted on it. Because once you declare a state of emergency, we've done this once before in Trumbull County and Kinsman, you know, that opens up to a lot of different funding and a lot of different things that the county could be on the hook for. And we want to make sure that we're doing things properly. Mr. Danzo, can you speak to this a little bit? Is this why you came down here?
Yeah, it's,
Is this the one that came from Tom Shea this morning? Was that
Correct.
Senate?
Correct.
Okay.
so, it's a little bit awkward because this really isn't our agenda item. I'm just
Right.
here to try to do my best to help everybody out, but,
I contacted Chief Hickey today.
each of you, at least a proposed kind of sample resolution. The request, I believe, is very similar to what was done in 2019 when the Kinsman Dam and
Correct.
road bed washed away. This was, basically, this format of the resolution is taken directly from what was done by the Board of Commissioners and Engineer back when the Kinsman Township Road had this, I guess, a similar, much worse problem, really, but similar. What it essentially authorizes is that if there's an emergency repair that needs done, the county engineer has authority to repair not only county roads, but township roads, any road within the county in an emergency basis. Braceville is saying this is an emergency. It's my understanding that Engineer Smith agrees that this is an emergency situation. So what this allows them to do is work with the engineer's office to make sure that repair gets done in a more timely fashion than if the township went out for bids and everything on its own. And I think, again, I don't know if anybody from the engineer's office is either here or on the line to speak to any questions you might have for them, but my understanding is that this is all going to be paid ultimately by OPWC and the township. So the county's not going to have any expense involved in this. It's going to be simply, I don't want to use the word pass through necessarily because it is a statutory function of the engineer, but it's a way to allow the road repair to get done more efficiently is what they're
Okay.
asking.
Absolutely. If they can receive that much from OPWC, 10% is a great
Sure,
deal.
sure,
for the
absolutely.
township.
Thank you for that explanation.
So I hope that helps. Like I said,
I do have another question though. If, so this was procedural, so you were able to write this up to help?
yeah, I mean, this was
Okay, my
This-
question is, can you help with procedural things?
sometimes,
Okay.
see, I think,
Because I want to put something on the agenda and I just needed the language and I would. like
well,
some help.
here's the thing,
Yeah.
we're not the board's clerk, with all due respect,
I
if agenda
Circle.
items need to be done, the board has the ability to do that. This is an issue that we were working through.
Individual commissioner, we have the ability to put agenda items on, and I've asked you before in certain cases, like, hey, for procedural help. I just want to see, because I know what I want it to be, but I've never.
Many times we can give
I've-
procedural
thank you.
advice. The question is, when it comes to just saying, hey, I want this drafted, that's not
No,
something our
well,
office does.
It's
So I
re-
just
it's
want you to
re-
be
it's
clear on that.
It's rescinding a journal action, and I want to make sure that the verbiage is correct, and I can't get the clerk to.
Well,
help.
we could
That-
review whatever it is. We'll see if there's something we can help with or not,
Thank
but
you.
the reason, again, just to be clear, the reason that we helped out with this is, as you guys are aware, Braceville's a statutory client, the engineer's a statutory client, you guys
Right.
are a statutory client. We're just trying to fulfill the role that we're allowed to do by helping move things along for everybody. So that's why, and frankly, this is something I worked on in 2019 with the prior administration here, so it's something I was aware of.
And then on an earlier agenda item that related to the annexation, we, the new procedure that we're supposed to have prosecutor's approval or something like that associated with it. We didn't get anything, and she said she was communicating with you and you approved it. Anytime something like that's happened, I'm just asking as a courtesy that you could let the commissioners know, because the clerk doesn't tell us. Could you do?
No, I can't. And the reason is that, we get department heads talking to us all the time. Frankly, it would be almost impossible for us to communicate to the board everything
No.
that
If
we
you're-
discuss
what
with a
I'm saying
department
is,
head.
If you're approving something as an agenda item,
Well, that's-
please let us know.
That's not the case, though.
She said you approved what was on there.
No, I
Well,
said I've been talking to the
right, there's-
prosecutor's office. I said it during the workshop yesterday.
Yeah,
said
let's
you
let's
listened
be
to the
clear,
workshop
and that's
process.
correct. Sometimes what happens is, see, you guys are looking for approval of the prosecutor's office. There are times that there is no approval. In
Thank you.
in the case of an annexation, there could be questions just to confirm, hey, how soon does this have to go on the agenda? What's the next step? What do I have to wait for next? That's not gonna come
this-
with
it
a
would
report
be-
from us as to
No, it would
approval.
Be like, is this statutorily correct in the process for this? And I would just want to know that it is, because it's coming in from
But
the,
that's not how those
Yeah,
questions are
but it's-
coming in, just so you know.
but it should, because it's coming in from a third part. It's coming in from the attorney on behalf of someone else. And our counsel should be the ones to say, hey, this followed. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, what
Yeah.
also you should just keep in mind is, again, this is another annexation that's affecting the Board of Commissioners as the essentially finder of fact, the judicial body in the determination, but it also affects Howland Township, another client, and the city of Warren. What we will do is we will always try to help procedurally
Yes, to make sure the
guide
process was done
the
correctly.
process,
That's
but
all.
the problem is, until and unless we receive word from Howland as to what their position is going to be on this annexation, we don't give advice and approval on the annexation itself.
That's what I'm
Simply,
asking.
Thank you.
I just wanted to see if.
well,
the
no, but
process
it was what you asked for. You asked about approvals, and what I'm telling you is what we will not do in this case is we will not review the substance of that petition
I
at
didn't
this
say the
point to approve
substance.
it.
I said the process was correct statutorily. I didn't say the substance.
Okay,
And that's what I'm looking.
and that's
to
what
see.
we've been working with the
And-
clerk
and
on.
We were left out of that, and we're the ones voting on it. So I would just
No,
appreciate.
Please don't speak for the board.
I-
We weren't left out. I spoke to the clerk about this at length over the course of this last week.
Again, we need to know as well that you have said that the process was correct. That's
Okay,
all.
well, and again, I communicated that to the clerk, and it sounds like she did
He
pass
just
it
doesn't
along to
pass
some
it on.
degree,
Yeah.
so. If there's questions, you could reach out to her,
No.
it's the problem, again, the problem is if the expectation is that our office not only communicates with all of your department heads, but then follows up to all the commissioners with everything that we discussed, it's not
But
practical,
I'm
it's
saying,
just not
no, I
practical.
said the agenda items, Bill. I'm not talking about every single thing for every department. I'm just saying, if it's an agenda item that you're consulting with her on, and you have, please let us know that it's correct.
Well, we'll see what we can do in the future. We'll see what we can do. I can't promise it because again, that's gonna add a lot to, the fact is, most of the
Well-
things that you're discussing do come up on the agenda. And that's the problem is that, we can say, well, only agenda items, but again, that's where all of this leads because ultimately the board approves it.
But Bill, there has to be some initiative on the part of the board to seek out those answers. We don't just get spoon-fed answers.
No, but this just popped up, I guess, last minute, and we didn't have anything come through the
Well,
board of agendas.
again, we always try to accommodate the commissioners we do, but it's just there are times where it's just more efficient that we work through your department heads and through your clerk and
Well, just know that, hey, everything's okay with this, talk to clerk or something like that. That would be nice to
well,
know.
like I said, we'll see what we
Okay.
can do.
I mean, you're statutory counsel. Thanks,
Bill,
Bill.
Bill, I noticed on this
That's true.
sample that you sent us here, it's got Jet Excavating Company on there. Was that additional information beyond the email we got this morning that you know of?
It might be, yeah, it is. I was told at least verbally that they had submitted the quote on it. My understanding is they do a lot of the emergency repairs that come up on bridges and roads in the county and that they had already submitted a price proposal on it. That's again, what I submitted.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I didn't
This
hear-
is
I
just the
didn't see that
format.
either.
You are absolutely welcome to talk to the engineer and change anything in there. I just wanted to give you guys as best I could a rough format of what you'd be looking at to do such a project. But again, anything in there is subject to change. I certainly don't want to suggest I'm forcing anybody's hand on that.
Yeah, I don't even know what the total cost is.
I don't know off the top of my head either. But again, that's a question probably someone from
I
either
think we just leave it
Braceville or.
to, we give approval to the county engineer and then the county engineer takes it from there as far as who we subcontracts with or who he brings in.
Well, there
to
may
his
be,
fund.
in
I
that
don't think
case,
that's us.
in that case, there may be a subsequent resolution to approve that agreement down the road then, just so you're
That would
aware.
delay it, is what you're saying.
It might, and I
Emergency
don't know.
repairs.
Like I said, I was thinking maybe somebody we could, maybe fill you guys in on
Is
that.
the
other than me, but-
OPW, is the engineer on the phone at all? Because it says to be paid through OPWC. Is that already a given? Did they already apply?
It's my understanding that
being
that has
shipped?
been approved, but again, I'm not
That was
the
the meeting.
person.
I think last week was their meeting for the.
So the way it's written right now, do you
Okay.
approve of the context or the
The
form of
procedure,
signature of it?
the procedure, absolutely, because it's one we've used before. It's a statutory process. What I can't answer are who the contractor ultimately
Right,
should be,
right.
or, frankly, whether or not it is an emergency, but I absolutely trust our engineer's office and the folks from Braceville. If they say it is, I'm not in a position to contest that, so.
Braceville trustees voted on an emergency
They
meeting.
did.
It was an emergency.
Correct.
The county engineer texted me back that he agreed, he concurred. that
That's
it
my
was an
understanding, too.
emergency.
Did
So-
the Braceville didn't say that they did any type of procurement, or wait, it would be.
No,
They
they
wouldn't-
just
they
said.
wouldn't do it
for
for an
That kicks
emergency.
in the next
They-
level where the county engineer.
There wouldn't
can
be
now jump
procurement.
in.
They didn't say what they did or quotes or.
They don't do that in
They
an
don't.
emergency.
They don't have
Believe it,
anything.
That's why you
I
declared an
believe the
emergency.
engineer's
saying
office-
we don't have anything about that.
Right, and I don't.
Or I
either.
don't. That's what
And I don't either. I believe the engineer's office usually would handle the quote process for that. So,
I agree. I'm just making sure, as we have it written in here, if we pass this, that covers what we need, or do we
Yeah.
need to change anything?
no,
Or amend
procedurally
anything that's
that,
in here now?
procedurally that covers everything. But again, the only caveat is, again, with Jet Excavating, that's just who I was
That's nothing to
told,
do
but
with
I
it.
don't know.
Right, that's different, that's
So.
separate. Okay, so. Commissioner,
Well-
you made the motion and then,
But for purposes of this agenda item that Bill's given us, is the highway engineer on the line or a representative?
Yeah, said that and he didn't say anything. I mean.
I'm just asking.
hit star 6 and identify if someone from the engineer's office is on the line, please.
Town right now.
Commissioners, it's Engineer Smith. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Just to add some clarification to the situation, we did obtain a quote from Jet Excavating, which is the contractor that performed the Kinsman Lake, as Assistant Prosecutor Danzo had suggested. The scope of work includes the removal of 7 large trees, installation of 175 feet of grade 50 sheet piling, 25 foot long. There's going to be riprap installed in front of the sheet piling for the length and some number 1 limestone behind it to allow the water to drain out. The cost of those items is $245,000. We asked for a price in case there was additional slippage per foot of sheet piling, and that's an additional $1,250 per foot. It's my understanding, and this may have been through Assistant Prosecutor Toth in his communications, but I have a feeling Mr. Danzo is familiar with it. The township initially looked at doing this in-house, and there seemed to be one of 2 things, either some statutory concerns with their ability, or perhaps their ability was limited to just over $100,000 for an emergency contract. Hence, they requested that the county come in through the agreement and handle the contract. The 90% OPWC commitment has been obtained, and the township will be paying the remaining 10%. So right now, the contract would be for $245,000. We had some contingency money of approximately $40,000 on our request to the OPWC.
So this was requested last round for PWC and it was confirmed last week or something?
This is not a round type of application. The
Okay.
OPWC has set aside monies for emergency projects that communities can request throughout the year. Fortunately, we made a request. It's towards the tail end of the year, which I believe they start a new round in July. July 1st, there would be a new round of emergency funding available. However, they had this amount available. The amount they can participate to, the percentage, is subject to the director's approval. We've seen amounts down 50-50. So I know Braceville in this office is extremely grateful and satisfied that they took it up to 90% for this particular project. Obviously, the township submitted a lot of information, photographs, statements from, I believe, their police and fire to bolster their application when it was submitted.
So this is done by and through agreement between, no different than a situation where you could be servicing roads that were ARPA requests. Is it the same type of agreement between the township and the engineer?
That might be better directed towards Attorney Danzo. It's my understanding statutorily, the county has the ability to form an agreement with Braceville Township under these circumstances, along with my support and the township's commitment to move forward to fund the project. Having said, it's my understanding that entities, whether it be county to township, township to county, can provide resources on the other's roads. I believe that's also a statutory provision, but that's not necessarily the case here, where they're engineered by statute, so we're providing them with the engineering service at no cost.
Mr. Smith, all they're asking for of us right now is to declare the emergency. The prices, the contractor, all that other stuff would come in a subsequent request, possibly next week or down the road. But today they're just asking for us to declare an emergency situation on that road, correct?
I think that's fair to say, Commissioner. The timeline that presents the challenge is the ordering of the sheet piling. That's a 30-day window once the order is placed. So if we know that an agreement is forthcoming, the contractor will then proceed to make his order of the material.
Okay, but all they requested of us, and you concur, is that we declare an emergency there, and then Braceville will handle the rest with you as far as the contractor and all that to present to us later.
That is
I
correct.
just don't want to
I
overdo
would-
this agenda.
I
item
don't
here
think
now.
so, Commissioner.
When you look at what Mr.
Yeah,
Shea asked,
but then we'd have to revisit it next
He
week.
already
probably.
he already said that this covers everything. Just read the agenda. I'll give you a minute to read it again, Denny.
Just to be,
Oh, can you clear
yeah,
that?
just to be clear on that, the contract ultimately will, with Jet or whoever it is going to be, will still be approved by the Board of Commissioners as the contracting authority. So if you wanted to wait on that to get more information, more clarity, you'd have to wait till next week. And that's up to you guys. I'm not, again, whatever course you want to take is up to you, but there will be at least one more agenda item approving a contract with whatever contractor is ultimately chosen.
So Randy, if we were to adopt Jet Excavating as we did in the past in the prior emergency, we need an amount not to exceed by the Board of Commissioners. What are we looking at there?
We added an additional $40,000 as a contingency to the 245. So there's actually $285,000 available, of which 90% will be OPWC. I told Mr. Danzo that we will certainly shore up that the OPWC is typically a direct payment, and I believe that Braceville Township can be a direct payment to the contractor as well. And I think he was going to confirm that that is actually a plausible approach through the agreement. But I do believe if there's a general understanding that you're satisfied with assisting Braceville in this, the contractor will proceed with ordering the materials. And I can certainly put another item on next week's agenda, listing the scope of the work, the amount of the contract with the contingency monies built in, and any other questions that you may have if you'd care to share them with me prior to the meeting.
And so if you guys wanted to hold off till next week for it, then all I would recommend is just crossing out that the last section of the first part of that resolution that says and to enter into a contract.
Contract.
Yeah.
How-
Yeah.
However, they won't be able to order the material and get started as.
No, he just said Jet would, as long as they know a
They-
contract is imminent, that we agree to the emergency.
I mean, I don't know.
That's what he
That's
just
a,
said.
that, yeah,
Are you-
that's sort of
is
a
that
gray
correct?
area because the contract doesn't exist until it exists.
Yeah.
But you know,
Is that gonna hold anything up if we do it that way, engineer?
Again, I believe that Jet is comfortable ordering the material. They had already offered to do so, but I did not think that would be prudent until we had this discussion. So therefore, I think if there's a general understanding that you're seriously considering moving forward at the next meeting and entering into a contract with Jet, then I believe that they will order the materials today.
Okay,
Yeah, I did have another question though. Well, he's on the phone. I don't know. It doesn't relate to this, but I did notice the auditor shaking her head. No, about the same thing. It might not be the same thing, but I just wanted to make sure because we had some townships that were interested in contracting with the engineer in order to do their roads. I know specifically Vernon, and there were other requests that were previously denied. I just wanted to,
can we handle this agenda item first?
I mean, if he's on the phone and you're here, I just wanna, it would be good. if-
Attorney Rogers is looking at that. That's already been sent to her per a commissioner's workshop several weeks ago. She has it on her plate. So asking attorney or asking engineer Smith to give a legal opinion is
No,
inappropriate.
That's not what I asked. I'm assuming that that's what he would be doing in order to get the work done for
yeah,
the town.
well, what I'll say on that is there are sections of the code that deal with emergencies like we're talking about here. There are other sections of the code that deal with general mutual aid and maintenance and repair.
Okay, that's
But
what
then there's also ARPA requirements that's why Attorney Rogers is weighing in because you could have something that's allowable under certain sections of the Ohio Revised Code, but perhaps did not comply with the ARPA subcontracting mandates. So she's looking into it as I understand it, and hopefully she'll have an answer to you guys soon.
Okay, so after they changed the final rule again to allow for some more CDBG activities, I just figured that would be good. So, all right, thank you.
Okay, hearing that. Commissioner, do you want to withdraw
Yeah.
your motion for number 25 as it's written? And replace it with,
Just want to make, yeah, let me, so strike that last motion and this will be my motion from the floor. Make a motion that the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners hereby make a determination that a real and present emergency exists in regards to Benedict Levittsburg Road in Braceville Township, where actual physical disaster has occurred to the road due to road slippage and progressive encroachment into the Mahoning River. And to authorize Denny Malloy, President of the Board of Commissioners, to execute an agreement with Braceville Township for the repair and maintenance of this road in accordance with RC 5535.08. It's my motion.
we leave the note in there? Yes.
We can,
I would
Yes.
I would leave the important note.
Of
from
course,
there
yes.
down,
I'm sorry, yes.
And not the bottom note where it says Jet Excavating.
Yes, just the important note for now, and then we'll get that
You'll wanna
information
read
for
that.
next week.
You want to read that because it's not on the agenda.
Okay, the important note is, as follows. The county engineer has determined that an actual physical disaster has occurred and wishes to proceed with the necessary repairs without the process of competitive bidding in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, section 307.86A2, in accordance with RC 315.13. The county engineer shall make all emergency repairs on all roads, bridges, and culverts in the county, including township roads. RC 5535.08 allows for mutual aid agreements in the repair and maintenance of roads.
And just a point of contention,
Content of what?
the point, I'm making a point here to see if we need to add this or not. To be paid 90% through the OPWC and 10% from Braceville. Do we need to include that in there? No
No,
general funds
I think
required?
once the contract is awarded next week, then we can do that.
Okay. Okay, so I'll second the motion as you
Thank you.
delineated it.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Okay, that ends our regular agenda items for today.
I wanted to talk about the tax increase that was discussed yesterday for senior levy and the direction that the board wants to take on that.
I'll be going to the next senior levy meeting with the board to hear their thoughts. In particular, my thoughts on it yesterday were we're serving 10% of the senior population with our senior levy funds. But 100% of our seniors will pay into any increased taxes if we were to raise them, if we were to replace it with a higher tax. Right now, our tax levy is coming up for renewal, and there's discussion on whether to renew it, replace it, or add an additional. My thoughts are adding any additional taxes at this time because of all the other taxes our citizens are paying isn't a responsible use of taxpayer funds. And to help seniors would pay additional taxes also if we raise the taxes. And there are a lot of seniors that are on waiting lists and a lot that don't use senior services that are still on fixed income that would have to pay additional taxes. I personally am not in favor of that. And I'd like to explore other options, other means to raise the additional $1 million that the senior levy board has recommended that we do through a 2.5% increase in replacement of their current levy. But that's something for discussion that I'm looking forward to getting more details and more education on that at their June meeting.
Laura,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
go ahead. You wanted to comment?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
You wanted to bring it up.
yeah, I did. I wanted to have a open discussion about it.
Okay.
Your
to
thoughts,
see what your-
Commissioner?
Oh, yeah, I don't want to see any additional increases, period. I honestly, I'd like to make a motion from the floor to stop or to put a moratorium on any replacement or additional property tax levies that are going to exceed what they were previously.
Yeah, and I think we were all in
That's-
agreement with
that's
that
my
yesterday.
motion. That's my motion.
No, I don't, I'm not gonna make a blanket, you're making a blanket
I'll
statement.
second it for discussion, but I agree. The discussion, I'm not gonna make a blanket thing. That way each situation is unique. We don't know what's gonna come up. We don't know what's gonna happen with Children's Services Board or MRDD or anything else. So can't make a blanket thing that, of course, we don't want to raise taxes. I definitely don't want to raise any more taxes than what people have, but we need to find solutions for this in the future. We had a problem
So-
funding the dog, I have the floor. We talked about the dog licenses, and Auditor Yoder came up with an idea of why not have a donation button? And she's raised a lot of money through people donating to the dog pound to help the dogs,
So that
to help
was
our seniors. Maybe there are other ways that we can look at things where I don't believe increasing taxes, especially on the elderly that are on fixed income. We saw what happened when the sewer bill went up, or the water bill went up slightly. The sewer bill, I'm sorry. The people on fixed income, it stretched them, but it's something needed to be done to cover the cost of bills and to progress in the county. When we're only serving 10% of our senior population with this levy now, and there's a waiting list, adding more taxes and still having a waiting list doesn't cover everybody. There isn't a cure-all. It does help expand the services, but I think we need to look at other ways before we raise
Okay,
taxes.
so again, that was a second with the discussion.
Correct.
And so I will say, I don't believe that we should have any additional increases at all. If there are renewals, there are renewals, but my motion is for any increases. And I am hoping that the board, just to send a message to all the rest of the boards and anyone else who would come to us with increases in levies, that we will not, we will stand against, united as a Board of Commissioners, that we will stand against any replacements that would cause additional increases in people's property
Did
taxes.
you have
And I
the
hope
same
you
thing,
agree.
an increase in sales tax for transportation?
That is, I just made my motion, and I
I think,
That's where I'm at with it. So if, and no one wants to discuss it, we can call the roll.
I think it's unbelievably reckless to say that.
Yes.
I think it's, everything needs to be on a case by case basis.
And it is
Um,
disrespectful to senior levy board too, for us to
Yeah.
just say, we don't care what you think. We're not raising, we're not doing anything. They should have a chance. They meet regularly to come up with these solutions. And if they have a hard recommendation and they have good reasoning behind it, I think we need to be
And-
open enough to listen to what they have to say, or they're just wasting their time going to meetings every month.
Well,
And,
you
and I,
guys disagreed with their recommendation in the past that related to funding something. You disagree with their recommendations on a regular basis, to the point where Diane doesn't even give background or feedback on people's attendance or conduct at the meetings. So
obviously you're disagreeing with her right now.
I'm talking, so when it's convenient for you, then you say we have to take their recommendation so that you have some type of plausible deniability. But when it's not convenient and there's something political associated with it, well, then you won't. So.
You're not taking the recommendation of Diane right now. And I'll just say this, and because I think we've been talking about this a little, like the Board of County Commissioners have, no compassion for our seniors. We raise over $2.5 million every year for our seniors, for our most vulnerable seniors. Most communities and most counties don't even have a senior levy. We do a phenomenal job with in-home care, transportation, across the board for seniors. So by any means, don't take that as, the Board of Commissioners is not committed to our seniors.
No, we absolutely have to take care of our seniors. I just don't agree with seniors paying increased taxes. and taking care of
Agreed.
seniors.
Sitting here talking about not taking her recommendation before, back when I was a new commissioner, I remember it was Frank Morrow and Diane came in and said, she recommended that we joined WRTA because that would help to free the costs. And if we had that, if that were to actually have been in effect, then she would not need to come back to us in 2 years and ask for an increase. So I remember that conversation. I remember her coming up and saying that. In fact, I'd like to make a public records request for the meeting in which she said that. So I'll maybe send that in separately so that we can see that discussion. But I just want
That's
you
the
to know
board's
that.
prerogative, that
Okay.
we can disagree with our department heads. As
Okay.
you said, we don't rubber stamp.
All
We
right.
don't just bring something
do.
that's brought to our
Okay.
attention. Well, obviously I
Okay,
don't.
whenever.
Something was brought to our attention from a department head. It's up to us to decide whether or not
Right.
that's financially responsible
Sure.
or if we want to move forward with it. Please stop
All right,
cutting
so
people off.
I put on, so that's the motion. You want to read the motion and call the roll?
It's a game. It's a game.
Reiterate your motion.
No, the clerk was supposed to, when we make.
He doesn't take shorthand. You're over here talking a whole bunch of different things. I submitted my motion in writing.
Maybe
You can submit it too.
Maybe Ray took better notes of the motion than the clerk.
I'll get the
Unfortunate.
detailed language from the recording. So I'll go ahead and take the roll. Ms. Frenchco, for your motion.
Yes, because we need to stop and send a message that we're gonna stop and not entertain any increased property taxes once they've already been increased.
Mr. Malloy,
No.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
No, because it's completely spun and completely false what she's trying to say. Everything should be taken on a case to case basis. To make a blanket statement like that is completely irresponsible.
Okay. Next item. I guess we need to talk about the fly-in. It's in the paper today. We talked about it in the meeting yesterday. How many people are we gonna send? What expenses are we gonna incur? We had people that were outraged that we spent $2,000 on employees by letting them go 2.5 hours early to watch the eclipse. And if we sent 3 commissioners at $2,000 apiece, that's 6,000, 3 times what we spent on the eclipse day. I think 1 commissioner would suffice to be reimbursed to represent the county in their interests. If 3 want to go, that's great, but using taxpayer dollars to pay for 3 commissioners to go to DC for 2 nights, I don't think is responsible. And I think we need to make a decision on what's the most responsible use of us to do that. We don't travel very often. We don't expend very many expenses. I don't believe any of us get reimbursed for our cell phones. I don't believe any of us get reimbursed for our miles we drive in our personal vehicles. We donate that to the county. We do as much as we can to be fiscally responsible for the taxpayers and to, we just need to make a solid fiscally responsible decision on who should go represent the county in the interest to lobby into the future for the betterment of Trumbull County and future projects that are going to happen in upcoming years.
So when we discussed this at another meeting, I know that Denny wanted to wait and Morrow apparently was okay and said that he was interested in going as well. And I didn't have a problem with that. Subsequent to that conversation, when there was no overt objection and it sounded like Morrow was fine with it, but was considering going as well.
I was considering going on my own dime.
Oh, okay. Well, I took the initiative because of the hangups last year with waiting so long that the flight was far too much and made the reservations already. And the flight was 300 and it was lower because I didn't want to run into a situation like we did last year. And as a commissioner who's familiar with the mission there, which largely relates to Youngstown Air Reserve Station, and the only veteran here who was actually affected by BRAC, which is something that we go and lobby against and see what we can do. I intended to go and I've already charged that, I've already put it on my account. So so there's that. And
We did make a policy at the beginning of the year about how, or last year when we did reimbursements, that all reimbursements would be approved in advance if we were going to do it. If that wasn't approved, why you went and did that already without any approval, it violates the policy that we set and we made in
my
this
question,
board.
do you go to the chamber events and the breakfasts and
I
things
do.
like that?
You voted no to join the chamber. You voted
Hang
no
on.
for Valley Vision.
So-
and that's
so-
who's sponsoring
So
that.
every time you go to those, there's a bill that they're paying.
I pay
for
out of
you.
my pocket, Commissioner.
not
When I went
right.
to these meetings, I've paid
So
out of my
nothing's
pocket.
been-
Even Township Association meetings, I've paid. You
There's
built
no-
this county, I've paid.
So there's so every reimbursement, there's been no reimbursements for you at all.
I've had
Okay.
no things that I've seen come into the county for me. I pay for my own way.
Okay. Also, are you familiar with the topics that they're going to lobby for? Like, that's the other thing I've already.
I did.
started
I
do.
talked to Lyle this morning. They set the agenda last night and we have it on our email probably right now because he was going to send it over today about 10:30
Yeah,
of what their 6 talking points are. They
Mhm.
didn't establish that till last night.
actually, well, they didn't establish the talking points, but the basics were there and I have already been, doing the research.
Commissioner,
relative
you're not
to
going to be
them.
here after the 1st of January also to follow through with this as president of the
Follow
board.
through. It's
I think
fine.
I need to be here to be able to follow through and maybe we set a precedence with future commissioners that if you're going to go expend these things and start relationships, we need to be able to follow through with them in the future
Fine.
to see them through to fruition.
I've already spoke to Congressman-elect Ruley and he's going to be
He's not
there.
Congressman-elect. He has a general election coming up in
Oh,
November.
Okay.
He does. I'm just stating a
Okay,
fact.
What I'm saying, like, definitely have a good relationship with him and
So do I.
okay. I believe your campaign manager was trying to boycott his grocery
Is
store.
that me?
He
Is that
spoke at
anything to
my-
do with me?
you
I
know,
shop there
you're-
all the
you-
time.
Okay,
Mike and I are friends from way back, even
All
before
right.
I got into politics.
okay. So again, I've already done this. I've already made the decision to go and we talked about it before.
We never voted on anything and the
Okay,
policy wasn't
No, we
followed.
don't. Okay, either way, I mean.
Either way, you're
I'm-
all about policies and procedures except when they come to you.
When did you say you didn't think I should go? We talked
I
about
think
it
you
already.
should go. I think you should pay.
Oh, so you omitted, okay. I see. So it was.
The
again-
board should send
well-
one representative and the president of the board should make that determination. If he
The
wants to
president of the
go,
board should make
if
the
he wants to
determination.
go, and plus he's never gone before.
So he.
You
can
have
go
gone
next year.
twice.
And not to
I won't
mention,
be here. He can go
not to
next year.
mention, he has 2 years left. I may not have any time left. You don't have any time
It
left.
doesn't matter.
So we
The
don't know.
lobbying
Effort happens immediately when we're there and we're doing our work there. And, yeah, like I said, last time when the staff was refusing to reimburse me, I had to write a demand letter. Cause I was going to small claims court. The cost of you guys to defend that would cost more.
What are you talking about?
There's no damages to you, Commissioner. Lyle this morning said he could transfer the $800 bill to my name instead of your name. And I'm sure if you bought airline tickets already, you have at least 24 hours if you just got them, and at least time before, you could probably get reimbursed. And if they don't reimburse you, show me the bill where you paid it. I'll pay you out of my pocket for your airline ticket if you want to play that game. Show me where you bought it before today and bring it to me and I'll pay it out of my pocket if you're
So
gonna
you're
make.
saying
about
that
this.
someone from the
This is
chamber,
tax day, tax
someone from
dollars.
the chamber you had a discussion with
This morning about the agenda for it.
about changing it over to make it you instead of
Yes,
me.
You got a
because I
bill for
reserved-
$800 yesterday
I-
in your name,
Right.
unapproved by the board. Against policy. It wasn't approved.
So you.
they sent
you
the
reached out
invoice
to
already.
him? You reached out to him?
Pardon me?
Who reached out? You reached out to
I've
Lyle?
been talking to them for about 3 weeks about this. They had their agenda meeting last night and they planned their agenda and their itinerary for the day.
Right, again.
And I had a
what-
conversation this
Again,
morning.
As I said, to go over, I've already reserved, to go to small claims court would cost much more. I mean, your attorney would be.
You're gonna go to small claims
I
court
will.
and sue us for
Absolutely. If
for
try-
you.
if
I
try to
violated
do
policy and incurred bills on the
Then
county.
fine, argue it.
and now
more.
we're-
This is what we're paying for, folks.
Spend thousands
Somebody
of
to sue the Trumbull County
Right, spend
taxpayers.
dollars in court as opposed to letting the only person who's a veteran go and advocate
You
for.
went twice.
Okay. Right. I
Do you
see what
think
you're
we
doing.
should- Do you think we should pay
Yeah, it-
reimbursements for more than one?
And the other thing is, you have how can we make this decision?
We're trying to
I'm
make it
sorry, did you have any-
responsibly.
Trumbull County Auditor Martha Yoder, I had them check Munis. Commissioner Malloy is not listed as a vendor and has never received any reimbursements.
Okay. So,
I mean, do you think more than one should get paid or do you think only one and it should be you? Because you went before
I'd
and
say,
because you'll never get the chance to go again.
I'd say either, since I already took the initiative,
We all
that-
did.
no. And I brought it up.
They just set their
close to a
agenda
month ago.
itinerary last night.
Right, and I didn't want to fall into the same situation with last time with costs going up.
Oh, and then
So-
when you, last time when you reserved the room for 3 nights because you wanted late checkout, we had to pay an extra day for you
Not
to be
correct.
there.
That's not correct.
It is correct.
That is correct.
No,
It's very correct.
that's not correct. Yeah, that's not correct. And if you say something, it'd be nice if you had the documents to show something because that's completely false. Also, you can have Shara do something? Let
She
me
she
Shara
can
do
come
it.
in and bring your reimbursement
Um,
and bring the invoice and show that you checked out in the afternoon on the 3rd day because you wanted late checkout. You already explained it up here.
okay, let's just,
Because you wanted to change clothes. You said that already.
I represent the county well. I speak as a.
I didn't say you didn't
As a,
represent well.
as a commissioner, as a veteran, as someone who understands the needs of our community, as someone who understands the policies that we are there to advocate for. I look professional. I can fit into a suit in an airline chair.
Here you go again.
know,
Let's move
I
on.
think if we're gonna talk about.
Let's move on.
if
This
we're
is
gonna-
ridiculous.
If we're gonna talk about liability, there's a man named Howie Chiswick. Do you know who he is?
No idea.
Man about your size with some cardiac issues, died
Let's
on the
move-
tarmac.
Let's move on.
If there's a
This is
cardiac,
distasteful
cardiac
and
event,
disgusting.
Commissioner, I'm so glad you're showing your true colors in front of the camera as normal. Thus the reason
I
for
think
censure.
I think we should have
Yeah, sorry, you have to
I think we should have a health check. To
And a
make
drug
sure that
test.
some, that
I'll tell you
someone,
what, you want to pee in a cup? I'll go to get blood. How's that sound?
no,
I'll bring my medical records. You
No
can see how
problem.
good my medical records.
how about if one
You
of
pee
us,
in a cup.
if one, if one of us could do,
Commissioners, let's move on.
whoever can do the most push-ups and sit-ups and the highest IQ
Oh.
test, how about that? I'll
Oh,
take it
wow.
here. Let's do it right here,
Well, I'll tell
Denny.
you what,
It's
Gary
like the
Newbrow
feats of
wins the
strength.
IQ test all day long.
Come on,
Do you realize what you're
Sherry,
saying?
go ahead.
seriously.
What I needed to say is every time we have any travel or anything is purchased through the county, there has to be a purchase order initiated prior to that.
Right.
You didn't do that.
And I've been emailing you since last week.
I
asking
can show
for
you,
it.
I'll print every email. You have just been hounding
I have
people,
the- right.
asking public record requests of every single department. It's just crazy.
So I
it
have
is
the paper.
crazy.
Since I made the reservations, I wanted to be
Crazy.
able to let you start the purchase order process and.
No,
I ha-
you did not.
Yes, I
You
did.
never said one word about that. Not one, and I can prove it.
I asked you to give me everything needed in order to start the process. And as soon as the
You
county,
have to give
as
an
soon-
estimate.
right, and I have it in my office,
No,
because you just
no,
gave me the paper.
I will never go into your
And
office.
being that
ever.
there's not even an
Ever.
agenda until
So
last
as
night,
soon as.
I would
as
venture
soon-
to say not one person in this room even believes you booked your flight already. Not one. Does anyone in this room believe she booked her flight already?
I texted it to Ray Smith.
Wow.
Problem
Yeah.
with her taking initiative with taxpayers' money before it's approved.
Yeah, let's move.
So, yeah.
So
I
you have all the documentation. If you need more, I'll be happy to.
Yeah,
provide.
I have, wait, hang on, what's that first page? That's what I was
I'm
asking
getting
for.
the hotel bill first.
For everything that I needed in order to travel. See, what happened was as soon as I started to initiate the travel process, they decided to say, hey, we don't want her to go. So now all of a sudden,
No.
he wants to go.
That's nothing. I wanted to go last year, but I didn't think I knew enough at the time. I was too new to understand what I needed to do.
But you were president of the board and that didn't stop you.
Okay, I was in for 3 months. I was
Okay.
learning the process.
So the day one, that I'm saying that argument doesn't jive because if you were not comfortable because you didn't know enough about the job yet, then you wouldn't have been the president of the board. That's what I. was
Okay,
looking
there's,
for.
excuse me, there's
This is
one
the
more,
form I was
there's
looking
one
for.
more.
Very simple. You can go, just pay.
All of the forms associated with travel, you didn't give me
I
it.
gave it to you. Yes, I did.
You gave me.
I gave you
hang
the
on.
reimbursement form,
You gave me this.
the travel
Okay,
form.
so
That's
this-
exactly what I
That's
gave
what
you.
I have filled out.
You did not initiate a purchase order. You did not say, I am going, I need a purchase
I
order.
asked you
and it
for
has-
all the
No, you
paperwork
didn't.
associated with it.
Oh, well, that's not, that is absolutely, are you going to do it? Are you going to get into Munis and do the purchase order yourself?
I asked
are
for
you?
all the paperwork
Never been.
associated
I don't
with
think
it,
you
so
are able to even log in.
as soon as I asked for all the paperwork associated with it.
That has nothing to, you can't
I will
have
look
that
it up.
paper because
You
it's
wouldn't
not
give it to me.
produced until I put it into Munis.
Okay.
That's the
Commissioner,
truth.
This
That's a
is
fact.
sponsored by the Youngstown Warren Regional Chamber of Commerce.
Mhm.
You voted no for our Board of Commissioners to join them. You voted no on paying them dues.
I have an
If you want to go down
additional,
there with them on the county's dime.
I have an additional question. She was supposed to do a report on what she did while she was in Washington DC last year and did not do that.
Agree.
She did not do what she was supposed to do.
Make a motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Well, I
finish
think
it.
we already did, but
I don't think there's a motion yet.
Okay.
I gave a.
Motion, I'll make a motion to nominate President Denny Malloy to be our representative in Columbus for the DC fly-in.
That's embarrassing, ma'am. He smells bad. He looks bad.
That's
He's
my
not that
motion.
smart.
That's my motion. I'll second it.
He's
And please
Smell
second
bad
it.
and look bad.
And you're not that
just such a
smart. Yeah,
piece.
it's embarrassing. We should send someone who actually looks right, presents right. Yeah. Can fit into a normal size suit, a normal size
Okay,
chair.
That's my motion. Is there a second?
How,
I'll give it a second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa.
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
no, well, actually, I'd like to make a motion to allow both of us to go because I've already incurred the
You're
expense.
allowed.
No, and to be covered by the commissioners for what you're doing right now.
Be covered by the
It's-
taxpayers.
No, seriously, what you did, be quiet while during the meeting. What you've effectively done was no one disagreed with this until the staff realized that I was actually going and then and then
Sure,
Denny.
you went last year.
Denny sent the email once they realized that I was doing records requests for paperwork because Shara wasn't giving me or the clerk wasn't getting me what I needed. Then all of a sudden Denny sent an email saying that they were going to discuss it next week.
Because we didn't needed to follow up from April
we did,
24th.
we actually had a conversation and no one said that I was not going to be approved. We actually talked about me going, you didn't disagree.
I didn't
Now you're
disagree.
now you're saying,
I
well,
don't disagree
okay.
now.
but you're okay.
You just
There
want to
is-
do it on the
This
taxpayers'
wasn't,
dime.
this
We
is,
don't need to
this is
send money.
this is retaliation
You went twice already. How is it retaliation?
because
Yeah, you've
I
already
made
gone 2 years in a row.
I made a
It's inherent. You
complaint.
get to go forever because you went first? You
No,
went
I
first?
made a complaint and then next thing you know, you guys are making efforts to
Complaint?
prevent, yeah.
What
An
complaint?
well, I made an ADA request. And then you
I know what
guys.
you're
have been-
talking about.
Yes, you do.
That
I
has
don't.
absolutely nothing to do with going to Washington DC with the Chamber of Commerce.
Last
Nothing.
year and the year before you were, there was no problem. Now this year, about a shortened time after my request and my modified request, you are now denying this after you know that I already spent the money to go and made the reservation.
Commissioner,
is-
you went
this is
2 years in a
unbelievable.
row on the counties, on the
And
taxpayers'
there's no
dime.
way for us to know if you made a reservation with a hotel, with airlines.
There's no
with
retaliation.
You can look at it with Ray, I have. I mean, I actually put the.
Why
quote
would you
on
send
there.
it to Ray and not send it to
He
Sharon?
asked me for it. He asked me for it. So I have it here to filled out when I came in and filled out the paper,
Today,
no, yesterday.
last night, after hours, after we had our meeting.
I was trying to do it.
Because you heard what we
last
talked about, and you knew
No.
this was coming.
No, I request, as soon as I
We
requested
gotta
the
call
information.
the
you guys said-
question, call the roll.
Well, there was
We
no.
already did.
Did we
No,
vote
there
already?
was- no, she had a motion to allow both commissioners to be covered for the DC fly-in, but nobody seconded.
That was a discussion though.
I still like it with
Call
the-
and roll on that one first.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
No.
Mr. Cantala Mesa.
No,
Okay. You will spend more, just like Bill Danzo said last time, when I had to send a demand letter to be reimbursed. He said, you will, and it is not efficient for the board. It is a waste of taxpayers' money because you will spend.
I would
more-
hope you would make
will
every
spend more-
reasonable effort to save taxpayers
you
money
will
now
Spend more.
by reducing the cost of this, being that there's more than a month in advance.
No.
Notice that you will not be there. So any reservations you have, if you could cancel or do, I'm sure that will come up in court if you tried to cancel it. If you were denied by the airline,
Okay,
you're denied by the hotel,
point
you're
is,
denied
the-
by the chamber.
The point is the cost just for the attorney that you have, that you'll probably use for their driving time is going to be more than the amount of what I'm requesting. It's at $375 an hour,
so now you're
which is
just
what you're
bluffing.
paying.
You're
No, I'm
saying-
just saying that it's just it's ridiculous, it's petty, and it's the games that,
So
the
you'd
political
rather
games
fully
that you
us
do
into
play.
spending $2,000 because you're worried about us spending $375 an hour on an attorney.
How is it petty when
That's
you went
bullying.
2 years in a row? I don't understand.
Why don't you go, Mauro?
I have 3
Every-
children, unfortunately, and a wife. And
Unfortunately, you have 3
I
children.
mean, I'd like
and
to
a-
go, but it's,
okay.
I'm juggling a lot.
You're
First,
juggling a lot. Okay, are we
you
gonna
must
have,
know.
and you're not gonna have none of you will have a meeting with just me, so obviously county business will be canceled that week.
We shall see.
This is really stupid. Okay, I'm gonna make and I mean that, I'll challenge my board for health, for the purpose of being healthy.
You want to challenge us to push-ups?
Push-ups and sit-ups, yeah, sure.
Wow.
Can me and Ray be on the same team?
No, just
Two
you and
teammates.
I. Yeah, just.
Now we're doing the feats of
let's do it.
strength,
Let's
everybody.
do feats of strength. Let's do it. You know, I mean, I'm.
We're officially off the rails. Mr.
Yeah,
President, can we
okay,
at least
we should-
adjourn or have the fine gentleman give us?
No,
some
I'm gonna
his
make
input?
I'm gonna make a motion from the floor to rescind the journal action related to the sewer increase that was taken in 2022, I believe. It is.
I was thinking 2022. I wasn't here when you guys did that, so it wasn't 2022.
It was
You fixed it.
2022. It was.
It was?
Yes, and every,
It was
yes.
Before you.
Because,
23.
yes, because then he keeps on saying that he feels bad. He wasn't here when it happened. So I'm like, I'm giving him an opportunity to correct that. So now that you are
Let's
here,
increase, be more detailed. What exactly are you talking
it's
about?
the sewer rate increase that everyone calls and complains about because they're already taxed out.
And we've already spent the money and used some of that, the profits from that to appropriate other loans and other grants from the state. And you want to give those millions of dollars back that we've already?
I mean, that's my
Because that
motion.
money?
That's my
Gary, can you
motion.
speak to that before the board
That's my
weighs
motion.
in
It
on
was
that?
seconded because of the discussion.
Gary Newbrow, sanitary engineer. Commissioner, here's a report regarding the sewer rates and why they are where they are right now. Before the recent rate increase, back in October of 22, the last rate increase for the Metropolitan District was in 2009, and it was a graduated increase that ended in 2013. In the Mosquito Creek District, there was a rate increase in 2010, and it was a phased over rate increase through 2015. Now, in 2018, we went into a new service area agreement with the city of Warren. They changed to accept our flow from the Champion and the Lordstown subdistricts. And that new agreement resulted in an increased cost to Trumbull County of $2.4 million a year. That same year in 2018, General Motors shuttered. We lost another $1.2 million of revenue. So right there, the $3.6 million change with no corresponding revenue increase in order to capture that back. Now, in response to those two major events, the county combined the Mosquito Creek District.
Prepared this.
I was just prepared in case this subject came up.
Okay.
What it is that we had to combine our Metropolitan District with our Mosquito Creek District. We did that in 2019 to provide us some resiliency in order to offset that loss of revenue. As a result, when we combined the districts in 2019, we ended up with a surplus in our sewer district of 13.6 million. Things are looking good. But during that time, because of these increased costs and no overall rate increase between 2019 and 2022, we lost over 8 million. We had over $8 million of a deficit. And that took our surplus from 13.6 million down to 5.45. It was our, what we did was we spent down that surplus instead of coming to the commissioners and asking for a rate increase. I couldn't see coming to the commissioners for a rate increase when we got a surplus of over $10 million. So anyway, we spent it down. Now, so we end 2022 with a $5.45 million surplus, and now we are hit with the Mosquito Creek and the Brookfield debt payments. Well, when we were going through, let me just go through my bullet points here. When in 2021, we initiated a rate study. The board followed the recommendations of the rate study, and the rates were approved on October 13, 2022. And we had to gradually increase the rates in the Metropolitan District from $666 a thousand to $975 a thousand. And the Highland customers went from $575 to $975. Going to the second sheet. Justifications for that is mainly the health and safety of the residents is of the utmost importance when planning the installation of sanitary sewer infrastructure. Over the past 20 years, the county has eliminated the health threats resulting from failed septic systems through successful completion of 44 sanitary sewer projects. There's about 20 more projects in the planning stage to be completed over the next 10 years. And these current rates are necessary in order to access the funding to continue to eliminate the health hazards caused by the failed septic systems. The county has 43 outstanding loans with agencies that have funded our sewer projects. As part of the applications for each, operating statements must be reviewed and approved by the funding sources. One of the major elements of the approval pertains to the financial health of the sewer district. In 2021 and 2022, before the rate increase, the funding applications were questioned numerous times by the Ohio Water Development Authority, who has funded 34 of our projects regarding our operating deficit. The sanitary engineers were able to show that a rate study was underway and rate increases were to be proposed to the commissioners by the end of 2022. So OWDA approved those funding applications based on the premise that the rates were to be adjusted to eliminate the deficit. The funding applications that resulted in over $1 million of principal forgiveness for the Yankee Lake project and $4 million of principal forgiveness for the Meadowbrook project were contingent on that rate increase that was passed by the board in October of 2022. The county must keep the current rates in effect to continue to be successful in securing $4 million principal forgiveness awards for the second and third portions of the Meadowbrook project in Warren Township. If the county can't connect enough customers to share in the debt of the new package plant being constructed as part of the initial project, it will be a financial disaster. If we can't get those 700 customers connected in, we're going to have a $10 million package plant down there with 170 customers to it. We need those $4 million principal forgiveness awards. We mess with the rates, we are going to jeopardize the principal forgiveness from the OWDA.
For how many people? For how many households?
The first phase is going to be approximately 100 and I want to say 60. I don't have the list in front of me. But overall, the second and third phases are where you get most of the customers. It'll be over 700 customers when we're done. Now, you have to keep in mind the county recently completed major upgrades at our mosquito plant. And we have a debt there of over 33 million. And at our Brookfield plant, we have a debt of close to 22 million. The annual payments on these loans are over 2.6 million. There's no assessments or capital charge to help make the loan payments for this plant upgrades. On extension projects, we usually charge a capital charge or front footage assessments, service connection assessments, something to retire the debt. You can't do that with the wastewater treatment plants. You have to do it through the user rates. Now, next page. There is a sewer rate distribution chart published by the Ohio EPA. The average annual cost statewide for sanitary sewer service based on 4,000 gallons per month was $489.95 per year. In 2024, the county's annual cost base will be $468 per year. So even with that recent rate increase, our average is $468 a year. And in 2022, the statewide average was $489 a year.
Yeah, and one of the things is when the study was done, they compared, and I had a problem with how the study was
Commissioner, if
done.
I could finish, please.
Finish.
on,
You got
no.
one more
Commissioner, if I
paragraph.
could finish.
This is discussion.
It is a
No,
discussion.
no.
One more
Discussion
paragraph.
goes back.
Right.
So you don't have the
Discussion goes
floor.
back and
Right.
forth.
You don't have the
This,
floor.
All right.
Continue
a lot of
last
people-
paragraph.
Okay, so commissioners, our rate increase went up to
those,
$9 per
I
thousand.
think to be honest and let people know that those who were compared to, and when you're talking about the averages of the state, oftentimes those are not necessarily public.
All right, well, this is the EPA. They're the ones that issued these. They're the ones that do the sanitary surveys that determine the rates throughout the state. And that is their average. And we are below the state's average. And just in Mahoning County, we are at,
We're private. We
we're
shouldn't be trying to
at
make money.
$9 and some per thousand gallons. Mahoning
We're
County,
government. We should.
Mahoning County, just the county just directly to the south. They're at $14.95 a thousand.
They're paying $5 more per.
Yeah.
Are
per
they,
thousand.
are they public or are they private for profit?
No, it's Mahoney County Sanitary Engineer.
Same as what we
Okay,
have.
Yeah.
I'm just
And
asking you.
for some reason, we're that much more efficient where we can get it done for under $10 a thousand and they're charging $14.95. Looking at some of the attachments, the next attachment was the sewer rate, resolution that was passed. But the next one is pretty much, it gives you the whole financial picture here. Looking at that operator statement summary, do you see it? In the year 2015, you can see we ended the year with a surplus of 14.9 million. And we stayed at that. In 2017, we had such a surplus that we took $6 million of that surplus and put it toward that Mosquito Creek upgrade. So we allocated 6 million of that surplus toward that to lower our debt on the treatment plant. In 2018, that's when we started negotiating that contract with the city of Warren. And you can see in 2019, we ended up with a deficit of negative 600,000. The next year, our deficit was 2.7 million. The next year, 1.361. 2022, the deficit was over 3.5 million because we had to add in the Mosquito Creek payment on that one. And then in 2023, as a result of that rate increase in 2022, we stemmed the tide there and we only had a deficit of 249,000. Now, keep in mind that in 2023, we did not make any payments on the Brookfield treatment plant. And that's a $1 million a year payment. So those started in 2024. So we're looking at a deficit of about 1.25 million. And we are hoping that now that the Holland, the old Mosquito Creek customers have seen this rating, have seen their rate increase, that it's going to even out here. If you look at that next line, the payments to the other governments, you can see back from 2015 through 2018, our payments to other governments hovered a little around 3 million. 2009.
A point of personal privilege.
Good.
Oops.
This first couple pages, Gary. We
Yeah.
have a copy with the clerk, so if the public that,
I gave her one.
if they have complaints about their water bill going up, this is excellent work. I mean,
Okay.
you were able to do it, minimal raise, and we're paying $5 less than Mahoney County residents.
Yes,
Per 1,000 gallons. So,
yes.
it's fantastic work, actually. Yes, sir.
All right, continuing on, commissioners, on that operating statement summary, if you look at that line of payments to other governments, you can see we hovered around $3 million in 2018, but from 2019 on, that's when we got hit with that extremely high increase from the city of Warren. You can see that our average was a little over 3 million. Now we're a little over 5 million. So we're losing over $2 million a year there due to that Warren increase. In 2020, we had to pay a big makeup bill. That's why that payments to the other governments were 6.602 in 2020, why that one's so much higher. And then I put in the other line of our industrial customer revenue. You can see that we were, 2015, 16, we're pulling in almost $2 million. Most of that was GM. You can see as they started ramping down production through the years, we started that industrial customer revenue just went down, and it hit its trough in 2020. But now it's coming back up again because we are recovering some of that revenue from the battery plant. The next sheet shows all the debt payments that the county makes on our sewer projects. These are our long-term debt obligations. And I highlighted the ones that are of most significance, of which we have no assessments or capital charges to pay. And our annual payment on the Mosquito Creek treatment plant is over $1.6 million. And the Brookfield treatment plant is about $960,000. So those had to be taken into account for the rate. The next one is just what I mentioned earlier.
On behalf of the board, I think you could stop there.
All right, well,
You got your point
the
across.
next, I'm almost done, Commissioner. The next sheet is just a report that comes from EPA showing you that average rate from across the state. The next one is Mahoney County's resolution, where they're charging $14.95 per thousand. And something else to note there is that besides our rate of $9.75 a thousand, we also charge a $3 per month replacement improvement fee. Mahoning County's flat fee is $13. So aside from there being at $14.95 per thousand, they also have a flat fee across the board of $13 compared to our $3. All right, the next, I put a couple sheets in here showing a typical EPA OWD application where I have to submit the financials of our sewer district in order to get this funding. And as part of that, I also have to attach the operating statements. So I've also included the operating statements here for about the last 7 or 8 years. And your last attachment is the sewer rate study that was actually performed in order to arrive at the rates we have right now. Nobody in our department wants to raise rates. We want to keep them as minimal as we possibly can. And we feel that that's where they're at now.
Yeah. Very thorough, very prepared. Thank you. Do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I want to know why you prepared that. Why did you think it was going to come up? It looks like someone prompted
does it
you.
matter?
I'm just curious.
We've talked
I made
about
a
this in
motion
workshops
I
for
made
a
a
month
motion
now.
from the floor
2
and
months since we got our first complaints, and he's had that with them.
okay.
Just went into effect this year, and that's when the complaints started coming in because they were delayed
Yeah.
increases.
Something that I did make an effort to do on several occasions was to do a performance evaluation, look internally before we were to increase things. I suggested it as soon as I took office and back when this happened. And prior to that, before we go to people who are taxed out, whose utilities are skyrocketing,
who can't afford all these increases, let's do a performance audit to see how we can save money in our own department and in the county before increasing fees to customers who can't afford it. And that's something that would routinely die for lack of a second or get voted no
Well,
on.
here's the thing, that the health and safety of our residents is one of our most basic responsibilities. And these systems are very costly, everyone. I don't know if anybody's been to a treatment plant, any of our plants, multi-million dollar plants. And the cost of those is significant. And we see a lot of communities go into fiscal receivership because they don't raise rates. Or we see them even worse, be out of compliance with the EPA, the state have to come in, and they're forced to make more expensive improvements than they would if they were to raise rates.
I don't necessarily
So-
agree with the strategy of let's keep on extending and extending and extending to grow our customer base to cost less when you see things happen.
You don't think people should have sewer?
Such as when you see things happen such as businesses closing, I don't think that it's necessarily feasible because you can't predict the future. And then what ends up happening is the county doesn't have the,
Commissioner, we've been under consent decrees and you voted on every sewer project that we've had, virtually, I think, a yes for. So if you felt that way, you shouldn't vote on those sewer projects.
Commissioner, all of our projects were either the results of the consent decree or petitions from the property owners. They requested the sewer, we extended it to them. There are no areas where we are just going out and extending sewer, for the sole purpose of just extending it.
It's public health and safety.
Yes.
Although I wish we could. I wish we had federal funding to extend sewer lines up to Route 88 Causeway, up Bezetta Road and 46.
And Commissioner, you're always talking
Paid
about,
for by
you're
grants.
always talking about preventative maintenance. That's exactly what this is to our plants.
Hey,
I'm Mr.
motion is,
What's the motion?
what is the motion?
well, he
Oh,
can't-
to rescind the rates?
Yeah.
Okay, so we inherit second, call the vote.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
No.
Mr. Cantala Mesa.
No.
So you can never say at this point, it wasn't me.
You want me to rescind something? We already spent the money and then we have to give millions and millions of dollars back.
Jeopardize every sanitary sewer project we have and water.
Like saying, let's skip it.
No, that's all those
This is
communities.
something that
No,
was
that's
voted
all
on
those communities.
Before I was here.
The community don't want to have their rates increased for footing another bill in another area. And we're gonna have an increase in the water rates pretty soon because you two decided that you wanted to consolidate those districts.
You should have voted no on every project,
So,
but you voted yes.
ready for the push-ups? Then?
Hi, I'm Mr. Glenn. I'm from the city of Niles and I am a fixed income resident. I don't agree with any tax increases to us because the simple answer is we can't afford it. First thing I'd like to say is no commissioner should take the initiative to spend taxpayers' money without approval from the board. Ms. Frenchco has gone to this fly-in the last few years, and I've been here. We asked for a report when she came back, failed. People that were there, word got around that all she did was Uber around the Capitol and wanted reimbursed when the convention, the fly-in is in one inclusive place. She coattailed on the back of the senators that brought in the air base money. She wasn't responsible for it. I hope you can go and represent this county because of the censure. She is no longer relevant, and anything that she would possibly bring back, she won't be here next year when the item gets on the agenda. So please disregard her minutia, silliness, lunacy, that the words I've always heard here. I've been here ever since she started, and it's just ridiculous. We have department heads that make good money that should be out in the community working, and they have to put up with this. Are we going to do push-ups yet? Are we going to do sit-ups? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Do your job.
All we want to hear
What,
from
you
you
late on
until
ADA
the
requests
end of
too
the
now?
year
Bring up old
is
stuff?
yes, no, or
I hope-
abstain.
I hope the
Thank you.
push-ups and sit-up contest goes into the paper for people to see how ridiculous it
Let's
is.
do it. I want.
And the drug
results.
test,
Where are
right?
the
And the
results?
drug test.
The
So she's
results
up here
go.
picking her nails like an addict does all day long when she's sitting up here at the desk.
What? I'm sorry, what did you say?
That's a common thing. If you look up one of the symptoms of drug abuse is incessantly picking at your fingertips, picking at your skin. You've been doing that every meeting for about a month and a half now. And it's kind of gross with all your clippings on the ground there of all the dirt coming out from your fingernails on the ground. I said, that's one of the symptoms of drugs. We already asked you before if you were on drugs. We already asked you for a drug test.
So do you think you
The
should be
public asked you
censured?
for a drug test.
You should be censured, Denny, for talking so badly.
No, the public brought that up.
Morrow, should he be censured, do you think, for saying that I'm on drugs? Just
There,
asking
there
you.
was a police report that alleged that you stole your son's medication, so that's been public knowledge.
Right?
There's been police reports for a lot of things.
Well, I'm just saying, that's been out there.
A recent police report within the last year.
So I'm saying, like, would you think that we should censure someone who?
Commissioner, you have gaslighted this board. You've twisted things beyond belief. And now you're asking for pity and help. Stop. Just let's try to work together for the betterment of this county and stop playing games.
Okay, the Board of Commissioners is effectively calling me a drug addict, right? Both of you.
Oh,
and-
not
and
at
you're-
all.
And you don't want
I'm
to
not
censure
calling-
him for.
Calling you
you don't-
anything.
So what I'm hearing is that Denny called.
You're calling me unhealthy.
Denny, you look
Do you know
like
what
it.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
like-
you look like what you look like.
I look like a drug addict. Okay, so on
Let's
numerous
stop.
occasions, he said
Just
that I
stop.
am a drug
This is
addict, and now
ridiculous.
you're suggesting that I am too.
I didn't suggest anything.
I
Please
mean,
don't put words in my mouth.
Honestly,
Let's move
defamation,
on.
Do you want, wouldn't you think that it's wise to
This is
censure?
what we're
somebody who
doing
says
with the
that?
county's dollars. You're arguing about this. This is crazy.
Auditor Yoder has the floor.
Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor. A point of clarification on item number 5. You stated that you just received the amended certificate for the County Budget Commission this morning and then proceeded to vote yes. I would like to point out that you've never requested a copy of that certificate on any of the other agenda items preceding this, which happen every other week because we meet every other week. So we wouldn't know, I'm not a mind reader, so we wouldn't know that you wanted it until you requested
But you
it.
still vote yes on it.
And you still voted yes, even though you didn't have it. The other thing is a personal comment. You've made a lot of talk about health today. You seem to have a very unhealthy obsession with other people's personal appearance and weight. Perhaps you should seek help for that obsession.
The comment was about yourself in comparison to, Harriet Upton on that one meeting.
I don't mind calling myself a short fat lady. I am who I am,
I'm
and
just
I
saying,
am
I-
extremely comfortable in my own skin. I am a short fat lady who loves to laugh, just like my idol, Harriet Upton. I have no problem with my weight. However, you have an obsession about my height.
No one's obsessed with you, Martha. You might.
You have an
I can-
obsession with other people's weight as well. Perhaps you need to seek help. I recommend it strongly.
Awareness Month, and I think that maybe your irritation and anger. is
I have
going
no
to-
anger. You don't rob me of my peace or my sense of humor, lady. You are a humorless gold, and I'm happy to know that I am not one.
Thank you for being so patient, ma'am. Your name and where you.
My name is Lillian. I've been in Trumbull County for 22 years, and I volunteered you in the office, and I am very ashamed of myself for voting you in this office because you have been a disgrace in this office since you've been voted in. And Daddy, I volunteer you to go because you should go. You should not, you don't even go to a workshop because I'll tell you, I've listened to those workshops and I have seen these two maids and lady go and I have seen them work in that workshop. You should go to a workshop before you open your mouth. and I am disabled. And I do not think a taxpayer should pay more money. I am totally walked from that disabled parking lot. And I'm not ashamed to walk. I am not ashamed. I'm trying to book out my house disabled. Can't get no help in this county for being disabled to get help working on my house. I have had 5 strokes, 2 heart attacks, and I hear this county, they say they help people. But every time I have seen this county, right now, I get $100 a month in food stamps. I live on $1,600, me and my husband, a month. And they think that's a lot of money. That's nothing. So they can't say they do much. I moved in this county. When I moved in it, I can say this county brought me through a lot. 22 years ago. This county is going downhill. This county is not here for America. This county needs to learn to love God, and first of all, they need to stand and not discriminate each other. And stand for God. Not stand behind each other and stand there and cut each other down like you did today. You stand there and cut him down. That's a disgrace. I have heard those words because I was cut down by my mom. I was cut down by my dad. I was molested by my dad. I was abused by my mom. But he went through today by you was a disgrace. That was a shame of you. That really hurt me today. Those words what you said to him. I'm a Trumbull County resident.
Anybody else from the room have anything?
Yeah,
Mr. Hart.
I wanted to bring something up related to our jobs and family services. I've had about a lot of people contacting me about employees from JFS going to a bar during the lunch break, about employees having parties and being on the clock, selling fundraiser tickets on the clock during the taxpayers' dime, organizing the food truck Friday during the workday, and then collecting money for raffles for unknown, not real fundraisers. It'll say like it's someone's discretion. So we have an employee during the workday sending out emails, advertising for raffle tickets for a charity to be named or whatever their discretion is, and collecting the money during the workday. And I don't believe anyone's taking vacation to do that. And I'm getting reports of a I can't remember which one. I'm gonna have to get on the phone with there's a lot coming in. A supervisor leaving every day earlier, and then even Director John Gargano coming in 9 to 3 and not taking, they said that the reason why the people at JFS have so much comp time and sick time and everything accrued is because they're not taking it at all. They just leave when they want to, and no one gets, no one's accountable, and they suggested that people be investigated. I actually got a random message from like a unknown burner phone with a screenshot of the HR person, Shelley Blosser, during the workday at a bar. And they said, is this person on county time? Because it was shared on social media. And one of the things that they're careful about as employees, that they don't make the county look bad based on their social media conduct. So if someone's out during the workday
at a bar.
You know if she was off that day? Do you know if she was doing anything that day? You're making baseless allegations again. She said, someone told me, I heard, I got an anonymous call.
Wait,
It's from a
No,
burner
don't
phone.
interrupt.
You are
There-
slamming a
this
department
is-
again
This is on
with
social.
baseless facts.
was a
Present a
post-
fact.
Okay.
Present a written, a complaint in writing with somebody with a witness. And we will gladly deal with it. Gladly deal with it.
It's on, one, they're on social media. Two, you receive the same damn emails I do that show that there's an employee during the workday sending out advertisements for raffle tickets. We cannot use county resources in that fact.
I didn't see anything with someone selling raffle tickets.
From a lady last name Costello all the time. We get
Okay,
them.
here you
once
go
a-
again.
We get them once a week. We get an email from them. It'll say the food truck schedule. It'll say we're selling raffle tickets. Employees are taking pictures and saying, why are they getting paid to sit outside and sell raffle tickets during the day? That does not relate to.
Do you know how
county
many
business.
same things we get about people asking what you do for a living? What,
Oh my God. So instead of actually trying to be
present
accountable-
facts.
Yeah, we need
Those
facts.
are what he said, I heard.
It's on your email.
Now, are we detectives?
Are you defending that activity?
No, not at all, but I
Read
need
your
facts. I'm not gonna go based on an anonymous phone
Read your
call
email.
trying to slam somebody.
Read your email.
Commissioner, just because it's in an email or on social media doesn't make it fact.
It's not social media. It's a county government email address that is.
Okay,
That is advertising the.
so
sale of
somebody is
their-
alleging this, right?
No, it's you're getting them too. They're from.
You're
the-
talking about this, that has nothing to do with anything. That has to do with the department.
the-
John, are you on the
The
line?
department is Trumbull County under the Board of Commissioners and no
That's-
department's employees should be
That
sending out.
raffle is,
adverti-
is not anything to do with anything extraneous from the department.
What?
Yes,
Their email
John,
is supposed, their email is supposed to be used for work purposes, not to advertise. Nowhere on there should there be advertising.
Mr.
And
Gargano,
nowhere-
are you on the line, please?
Nowhere during the day should an
See, before
employee.
you do
be-
these things, you need to go to the department head and get the other side of the story. Instead of coming here and making accusations about something that you know little
I
of.
brought it Before, no one seems to care.
Cause you're lobbing out baseless allegations.
Mr. Gargano, are you on the line?
We have all the emails.
Right.
Then present them.
You
Print them
have-
off.
Mr.
Hit
Gargano, are you
print
on the line?
You're not gonna get human resources to investigate. You guys, the fox can't guard the hen house, and we need someone external to look at what's going on in Trumbull County, because employees are just, either they don't understand or they do understand and they're just doing what they want. But during the workday, they should not be selling raffle tickets for nonprofits or for whatever imaginary organization that they're selling. You can't do that, like.
I
It's an
suggest
audit
you talk to,
finding.
I suggest
Auditor.
you talk to John Gargano about it. That's all I'd say.
To talk to, so he can defend the employees doing it. He should know better. He actually knows what's going on and isn't doing anything because he's getting the emails too. It's his assistant. It's his assistant that's sending those out to everyone.
I suggest you talk to the department.
Just let them do what they want.
Have you discussed it with the department? Or are you just going by one person's explanation of what this is?
You are receiving.
I
the emails as
understand that,
well.
Commissioner, but are you going on
Gee.
what they're saying this is about as opposed to
Did
what
that
it might be,
cause
what
you
else
any
might be
concern?
about?
Did that cause you any concern?
I talked to John about it. I suggest you talk to John.
Okay. What is the issue? What is defensive?
I suggest you talk
Why
to
don't
John
you say,
Gargano.
"We're at a
I am
public
not
meeting."
gonna do your job for you, Commissioner, as
We're at a
much as you
public
want me
meeting.
to. I am not gonna do your job for you. Seek out the answers.
We're at a public meeting and we're discussing an employee during the workday who's doing things that don't have anything.
There is
and using
nothing
technology, using the
ethical
email.
or
Okay.
disciplinary wrong with what they're doing over there. Trust me.
Okay,
Go call the department and get the other side of the story for once.
they're not, okay. You guys are ate up. The county's ate up. Everyone just wings it and does whatever they want.
You're
and it's
right.
Really sad.
And you're never here. So, I mean, the county wings it and does whatever they want. Those people in that department are there every day. You're not here once a
And
week.
the employees in the department are saying, why do we have to work when other people are
Like
leaving
you?
for the day or
Like
when
you?
when they're sitting outside selling raffle tickets?
They get breaks. They get lunch.
It's just, it's
It's
beyond
too bad.
ridiculous.
Mr. Hart, you have the floor.
Commissioners, Bill Hart, Trumbull County Maintenance. Elevators are under construction. They're underway. Be patient. There may be one at one time. You know, the one will be running at one time all the time. It's just that hit and miss on which elevator will be running. So they are in the midst of repairing them, replacing them and removing the old and in with the new. So just be patient, ask the public if they need to do something, come a little early, anticipate a wait on an elevator.
Did you see how long they'll be doing it?
6 months or so.
Just one last thing, I did a tour of family court yesterday. I did a 3-hour tour with Judge Bludorn in and out of the Juvenile Justice Center. And met with employees over there, met with the judges, talked about some of their concerns. Bill, there's a couple concerns I just want to bring to your attention publicly. One, their flagpole out front has a tree that's growing into it. They can't put the flag up because the tree keeps battering the flag when it's out there. And they asked if we can get someone over there to cut a limb off the tree so that they can raise their flag every day. There's a couple of Marine Corps employees there that take pride in the morning when they get there early, putting the flag up and taking it down. And they can't do it right now because the flag keeps getting beat up by the tree limbs. Secondly, there's the hole in the roof in the courtroom there that's been there for a couple of years. We have to address that somehow because they've spent a lot of money on carpeting and paint and improvements in that court. And when you look up, you see the HVAC system with a big hole in there. We really need to step it up to address that. They said it's been an issue for a couple of years. And I know it's a problem with matching the tile or something, but we need to maybe go to a plan B to help them a little bit. Yeah.
Do you need the majority of the board?
These are just basic maintenance issues that I'm
Right.
bringing up to his attention that
How about an update on our department head's policy and procedure manuals that were supposed to be submitted in March of this year? Does anyone have that or will maybe?
I know some of them are done.
Them
I had a
next week.
conversation with Alex.
Yeah.
She's collecting them. When she gets back, I'm sure she'll address that. You know, that's an HR.
I believe I did a records request for that because no one has provided them to me. And then what about the, do we still not want to do grading of the buildings and you're standing firm that the journal counts as the record for maintenance?
My aggravation. I think that we upgrade this county building is back carrying these files again.
You said it's not,
Everything that we have done is in record of upgrades. And we're in the midst of doing another building right now as far as the highway engineers and the stone building. Those are two buildings that we're upgrading. So all our buildings are an A.
so it's not worth the aggravation to do.
To go around and do
The
something.
majority of the board voted
I
multiple
can't,
times.
I
no.
can't tell you when a hot water tank is gonna break. I've said this before. So do you want me to replace it because it's 5 years old or 10 years old or until?
You saying
Yes,
that
it's
you are counting.
our
The
people,
record, the journal, the minutes and all that as the official
our,
background because you don't have it.
our
contained
people
anywhere
maintain our
separately.
motors and pumps, our HVAC systems on a daily basis. They check everything on a daily basis, grease them on a weekly, monthly, bi-yearly, whatever we do. That's what my maintenance guys do.
Okay. Oh, and there was discussion, I believe, about the basement yesterday as well, and the efforts to, you said that you brought the vendor in and you're finishing. I heard exactly, I can't remember exactly what you said.
Okay, so what's your question?
About the process for that. When you bring in a vendor, there needs to be an RFQ. That's something that I actually suggested when it happened. Same if we were gonna have Verigy, remember the prosecutor's office said, even if you're gonna have someone come in and do a grading of the buildings, you have to follow the proper process and do an RFQ, even if it's free. If it's no cost to the county, they're still potentially making money, so you still have to do an RFQ. Well, I remember that prosecutor's opinion because it came over to Brian Flanagan and myself and the Board of Commissioners, and I just wondered about, and I remember bringing it up at the meeting and saying, hey, remember that prosecutor's opinion, is there an RFQ? Did you guys end up doing one?
Aren't they donating the chairs?
No, I'm talking about the renovations down there.
The renovations that were done last year, the paint, you mean? The building maintenance, doing the paint?
Okay,
Yeah, we brought a vendor in. How are all the other vending machines here in the building? There's no contracts for any of them. If you go to every county building, there's vending machines, no contract. There's nothing, no one ever voted on it. The board's never acted on it.
No.
We can't figure out how it goes back 20 years or how they got there, where they got there from. So we replaced faulty vending machines with a local provider that does them.
If you, if there was like, if I missed it and there was an RFQ that I just happened to miss, because based on what you said yesterday, I thought maybe I missed something. that
No,
was
we
not
had
there.
failed service
Okay.
from a vendor and we got good service in there.
Just wanted to see.
Okay, anybody else? Anybody on the phone lines? *6.
Not make a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yeah.